If you're constantly battling low energy, cravings, weight control, watching your health slip away, listen up. There's a simple daily protocol they don't want you to know about that's helping people ditch their meds and reclaim their health. Up to 88% of Americans potentially suffer from some degree of insulin resistance. The Feel Great Protocol is a simple two-step daily system designed to help your body work with you, not against you. Step 1. Unimate, a powerful yerba mate extract clinically shown to boost mood, increase mental clarity, and support fat burning. Step 2. A patented fiber matrix called Balance. Taken before meals, it helps regulate blood sugar, curb cravings, and support healthy insulin response. That's it. No crazy diets, no meds, just science-backed support your body actually understands. Feel Great is perfect for you if you have low energy, weight control, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, poor sleep, diabetes, snacking, sugar cravings, gut health, systemic inflammation. This isn't a trend, it's a transformation. Start today to reclaim your health with the Feel Great Protocol.
Money can buy you almost anything. It can't buy you immortality. That you have to earn. I'm gonna look you in the eyes, and I'm gonna tell you the future.
And your story is gonna make us fight and never give up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Thursday's Table of Titans here. We got a busy month going on. We've got lots of scandals. We still got high gas prices. War still going on. But domestically here, we got some insider baseball stuff, a little bit stuff coming out of the White House that we find extremely interesting itself. We got court cases. We also got the Supreme Court making decisions. We have maybe some way into the SAVE Act, maybe not. But stuff's going around pretty fast. We're going to get into it very quickly here. I got Rdoc, Space Shot, and Tron. Tron, what is going on, sir? And it is just one man.
That is right. Welcome, guys. And again, the most entertaining outcomes, the most likely. It feels like everything's happening at the same time, and it almost is supposed to be this way. We want to stick around. We want to see how this movie ends. Is it going to be in 2 years, in 2028? Will the diamonds be returned for another third, fourth term? Again, we're going to find out. And most importantly, guys, power in numbers. Pat yourselves on the back. Not another 4-year election, and here we are taking back our country. America first. Globalism is dead, and we get to do it on Delta's baby. 250 years of American greatness. It has to be this way. Hit that thumbs up. Let's rock. Let's roll. Let's boom. Let's go.
Booms. All right, Mr. Rdoc, your turn. I'm interested to hear some of the stuff you got.
So today is basically 24 hours until we end up with the new deadline, red line, ultimatum of the 5 days. It was extended from the 48 hours that was the ultimatum Trump gave to Iran back on last Friday. And some of the fallout and scuttlebutt that happened in the markets related to that change in the ultimatum. We might cover a few little things in that, we'll see. But negotiations going on with who? Don't know. Army obliterated, but we got the 31st MEU that's supposed to be arriving sometime today, tomorrow, in the next 24 to 36 hours, definitely. And so we will have those 2,200 Marines with a actual ground combat force of about 1,100 Marines that are in the territory. What will they do? The 11th is a month away, mid-April at best, before they arrive in region. We got 82nd Airborne Mobilization, 101st Mobilization, and 2 infantry divisions. You haven't heard about this in the news. You won't hear about it yet, that are being mobilized, as well as the global energy prices and crisis continues because the Strait of Hormuz is not obliterated. I don't know. Anyway, we'll cover all that. And also, Ukraine and Hungary. We'll actually start with Ukraine and Hungary. And we didn't touch on Afghanistan, Pakistan last week, but they blew up again. And they're kind of getting back page news. But that's an important thing to understand. And just what is going on with the military supply and the energy supply and costs, because food costs, I know, are rising in the States. Energy costs are rising in the States, but in Europe and the rest of the world, they are going nuts. So we'll see. We'll try to tie a bow on that and understand what might be happening, because is it all about China? Maybe.
Definitely. Mr. Space Shot, sir.
Well, how is it going out there, my fellow world patriots and my cast members here? How are you guys doing on this fine Thursday? Glad you guys could all join us out there. Lots of craziness going on. Fog of war type of stuff. Finger pointing. You.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, but you know what we're going to do? Or I'm going to do anyways. I'm waiting for the dust to settle, the dust to clear, and I'm just going to report on accurately. I'm not going to jump to conclusions and say, I know this guy's bad and I know this guy's good and vice versa or whatever. So I'll just report it as it kind of exposes itself out there, and we'll see how that kind of works out. But yeah, Hulk's right. There's a lot of that and a lot of Trump, Maju, and this, that, and the other. But of course, we've grown accustomed to that, especially since this last deal with Iran. It seems like a lot of people jumped off the deep end. But always want to thank our mods for helping myself and these guys and many others out there. Always a big hat tip to our good friends, Country, and the folks over at Liberty Base News, formerly the Patriot News Crew, where we got all this shindig off the ground over 8 years ago, guys. So yes, we've been into this for quite a long time.
Wow.
Highs and lows and in-betweens and all that stuff. So we got a lot of stuff to get into here today. So back to you. Oh, well, actually, first, thank everybody out there for tuning in once again. And back to you, Mr. Hulkinator.
Yeah, and big hat tip to everybody out there that's been following us for that long. Go ahead and just put down how long you've been following us in years and months in the comment section. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Gold Star Mom sent me rhubarb roots from a plant. She transplanted her rhubarb, sent me some. So this is fantastic. This is how deep we go, guys. So shout out Gold Star if you're listening. I appreciate it again. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Sending me plants. So cool.
I'll send you some plants from California.
Rhubarb pie, man.
Yeah,
strawberry rhubarb pie,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best pies ever.
Exactly. So what else do we got? Since Mr. Space Shot had thrown this out here, would you like to talk a little bit about this? Because the White House has been going a little bit crazy, I guess, and you were pausing this over this particular video because they've been doing a lot. And I wanted to get Tron, Space Shot, tell me what you guys think on some of these videos that they're playing here. There's a lot of them.
It's very, very odd, right? And I went with the low-hanging fruit on it because it looks to me like it's a phone, and then next to it looks like it's a speaker, right? And so with that in mind, I just got EBS vibes, like emergency broadcast system vibes. As I, read it, that's what it made me feel. Also, Hulk, my Monday co-host, Mac, actually did a little tweaking with that and messed with the contrast a little bit, and so I'll send you it in the bottom if you want to play it. You can, if not, no big deal, but there's a little bit different. You see a little bit more with the way he did it here, so I'll drop that in there for the chat for you guys.
Yeah, we can give out links. I mean, Tron, what are they doing here? Because it seems like there's a whole bunch of these over here. Got a phone.
Yeah.
Well, this I went and looked up, and Grok is telling us it's part of the information system that's coming out of the Trump administration to detect USA to some particular number, and then you'll get the rapid response type tweets is what Gork had said about this. But what do you think?
Well, that is true. But again, we have to go deeper into that. We don't, we have the White House dropping Patriots in control. We have these nice little glitch effects. And again, going a little bit off a Space Shot, the EBS, but instead reversing it and winding down. I'm looking at Easter as, the day of prayer, the day of our celebrations as Christians and whatnot, but also, slowly ending down this Iran occupation. Maybe a little Ukraine-Russia news would be nice. But if you go straight on the deltas, March 25th, going back, I guess, 7 years, back to 2019, it's flags out, have a great night. And then another delta is that photograph or that painting of Renegade in front of that Ivy painting. And next to it is Boss with a roller kind of going over it. So again, maybe the end of the occupation of the deep state on a larger scale approaching. And again, the ding, warning sign, pay attention in the glitch effect. And we saw that glitch effect on November 4th of 24, the day before our most important election, when Elon Musk dropped that video from National Revival. What was that? secret code name. What was it? Operation Ronald McDonald and whatnot. And that was, remember that? So that had all those glitch effects in it where the word Patriot turned into a Q at the end. So again, giving us a little hat tip. And then they dropped a bunch of pixels and they dropped, a 4 second video. But again, this is drawing attention to not only, the back channel, but, the mystique behind what's coming next. Enjoying the show, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of drama, something for everyone. I like it. And the pixel thing, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, Luke Slytalker, this is pixel not. Remember, hidden messages in the photographs. So White House going all out, and that's kind of cool, dude.
I found this one. This one I kind of got the AI on.
That's it, good boy, you little news cum.
Little news cum.
Oh,
the pixelated
baby.
version on the left side to me looks like somebody's definitely holding up a middle finger. But maybe that's one of those like Rorschach tests. What do you see? Middle finger.
Rorschach.
Next, middle finger. Next, middle finger.
Middle. So what do we got coming out of the Treasury Department? Well, Donald Trump's name's going to appear on future paper currency. Did we figure out which one it's going to be? Is it going to be all of them? Some of them? I mean, as far as I know, they're showing stuff like this. Maybe show it down over here or something like that. But they're saying he's not going to be on a $100 bill. But, because I've seen some of those show up here, showing him on, the $250 or whatever, the $250 bill or whatever you could buy with the signature on it. So that's coming out. So I find that quite interesting.
It's going to be everyone, Hulk, I would think. Because look, he's taking the place of the Secretary of the Treasury, who is the signature of, you see that $100 bill, you have Janet Yellen on there, right? So she was obviously the Secretary of the Fed, of the Treasury, or was it the Federal Reserve?
I almost threw up.
What? You almost threw up?
Because you said her name. I forgot that she was on there.
Janet Yellen. But yeah, he's taking the place. But, this happens all the time, right? Presidents sign money all the time, going back to, never happened before.
Never.
This is how boss does it, dude. Setting precedences. If the ballroom isn't enough, if the 88 flagpoles aren't enough, if the F1 Formula race car championship, whatever, in August in D.C. isn't enough, if having Back to the Future musical at the Trump Kennedy Center isn't enough, why not? Let's sign some dollar bills. This is that's going to go down in July in D.C. So fantastic right here, boss signing it. And again, Mount Rushmore is next. This is leading up to something big, and we're seeing the results, guys. We're seeing the results not only in this administration, but we have to fortify our future administrations to continue on the America First agenda. We can't ever have a tampon Tim or a Kamala, even in the same breath as a presidential candidate. So shout out DJT, set those precedences, and let's go.
Yeah. We were talking before the show just really quickly on that topic, and we're thinking, well, it could have been worse. We could have been with tampon Tim and Kamala Harris and the whole Somali brigade behind there, bringing more illegal immigrants in, and we're all wondering who's going to stop this. And it's just a buffet of American dollars going out to international, which most of that stopped. We still got a whole lot of fraud to get into that's coming out on this show. Things you want to throw out on that before I go to the next story?
Dude, fraud is coming out of people's ears, out of every orifice like a fire hose at this point. It's so pervasive.
So we're going to spend just a little bit over on Iran over here. And since President Trump was on what is he? He's on the 5 making comments.
You kind of suggested that we'd knocked out Ayatollah Jr. Have we? And did the CIA tell you that Ayatollah Jr.'s gay?
Well, they did say that, but I don't know if it was only them. I think a lot of people are saying that, which puts them off to a bad start in that particular country. I sort of have to smile to myself when I see people trying to defend the Palestinian regime for women for Palestine, but they kill women if you don't wear a certain if you don't wear a certain cloth all over your face, you have no chance of living. And, when I look at gays for Palestine, but they kill gays. They kill them instantly. They throw them off buildings. And I'm saying, who are the gays for Palestine? And they have a significant amount of gays for Palestine. Now, I think I did very well with the gay vote, okay? I even played the gay national anthem as my walk-off, okay, for my campaign. And I think it probably helped me, but I did great with no Republicans ever gotten the gay vote like I did, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's great. Perhaps it's because I'm from New York City. I don't know, but the gay national anthem was my walk-off, and I think it probably had. But think of it, gays for Palestine, but they kill gays in Palestine. So when they hear that, I think probably we can talk them out of it. It shouldn't be too hard.
So, Rdoc, did we ever get to the point of gays for Iran yet, or did they just stay with Palestine?
No, they're still out there, but this statement is a very broad stereotype, and that's not the case the way it is, even in Tehran. And this is something that some people have talked about this past week. We are often given a lot of statements like this and believe in the most staunchest of Sharia, and it is a Shia strong point. And you look at Afghanistan, women are treated horribly there under Taliban, and it's still the case. In Iran, you can have cases where gay men are killed. Usually it's vigilante justice, but it's also official justice, depending on the situation. It is not a tolerant religion. It is a very strict adherent religion, just as Orthodoxy is in Judaism, and just as in some of our Southern Baptist regimes, and you go back 50, 60 years and people were strung up for doing certain things, and sodomy laws and a whole bunch of other stuff. Religious rule in politics and where we are at as a society in general has changed a lot in the last 100 years. When you get over into Muslim countries, and in some cases even non-Muslim countries, just Arab countries, the rules for behavior is there. Case in point, and we've talked about this as the guys, and when I was in the UAE on a public beach, you do not want your woman or your girlfriend, wife, whatever, to wear very skimpy, scanty bikinis, thongs, absolutely prohibited. There's no bars, like open bars and clubs that you just go to like on the street, but hotels can serve alcohol, and they will have bars and clubs inside the hotels. The UAE is viewed as like the Las Vegas of the Muslim world, and you have guys coming from after Ramadan, especially Ramadan ended, and they would be going to Dubai to party it up and get some hookers and drink some booze, because that's the way it is.
Well, we also had the dancing boys too, the Bakibazi boys.
Bakubazi, but that's not a Muslim thing. That is a practice that goes back in what they review as paganism. And so the Taliban, which is against that behavior, is the Muslim side of things, and they view that as strictly prohibited and punishable by death. And that's why we were on the side of the guys that were doing the Bakubazi. And that's a whole nother discussion for another time. But anyway, dogma, religious rules, and how it intersects with politics has been something we've struggled with as humanity for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years.
Exactly. The other side of that, as we get into some of these other stories with Iran, I brought Krill up here because he's always good for a couple of good comments here. And let's see what he actually says. I wonder if it's in English. I didn't prep this. Nope, it's in Russian. It says, the most severe energy crisis in human history is approaching as we see the Strait of Hormuz, which we don't see much ships going back there, even though Mr. Donald Trump had said that we got 8 or 10 boats of fuel. They were gifted to us. I think those are the ones that were already in transit. I'm not totally sure. Maybe Rdoc can allude to a little bit more about said tankers. We got 8 or 10. I'm not entirely sure. It says 10 here, and then he mentions 8 later in the broadcast here as we go through some of these things here. But we're seeing big, giant energy players start having problems around the world itself. Not so much in the United States, but I've seen plenty of reports out of Japan and the rest of the countries out there, especially the ones that are making all the chips out there. They did go back and take a look. It says like Taiwan's got 200 days of fuel, not LNG, but fuel. But that's also a problem for the helium, which is only about a month or two. Go ahead.
The helium stuff is really the crisis for Taiwan, and there is no other source. It actually Russia could be a source for Taiwan helium, and that's an interesting story in and of itself. But yeah, and I've got a bunch of actually
I'm just doing the topical for right now, but we're not going too much detail.
Global energy supply is a real problem, and the Iranians have offered to Spain, hey, you guys can send tankers. You're not an enemy nation. China,
do they have
India,
to pay?
They may have to pay. It depends. They've had some tankers cross that have paid, and some that have not. And these aren't all tankers. Some of them are just container ships, and they have to follow a very specific path that goes between Keshim Island and the coastline, and then around on there because the other area is mined. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then they get escorted out. And India has begun picking up the tankers and begun escorting them once they get into the Sea of Oman. To keep them safe from potential false flag or anything else that's going on. South Korea is making a deal with the Philippines, Malaysia. They're all in negotiations with Iran to get their oil, and they're also negotiating with Russia, and they're making deals with Russia to get their oil. There is a oil futures, and we'll get into some
That's
more
crazy.
here, are moving in a certain direction, and what the ultimatum was, it affected the oil prices. It's still keeping it somewhat down, but they've crept back up. And what the administration is doing about this, we'll talk about that in the international section in more detail. Absolutely.
Yeah, but this is where it basically comes out that he got 10 big boats of oil as tribute. And he says they were gifted to him. And I'm not entirely sure if that's a total 100% truth on there, but it might be all the ones that were already in transit that they so-called tariffed and took it back. Who knows?
Did you hear the rest of what he said too on there when he was talking with the five? He says, "Yeah, we've been talking with these people. Well, everybody's saying we're not talking about them." And he was talking to a couple of people at the desk. He goes, "But you know now that we have been talking to people." So the idea that nobody's talking,
they're not talking to anybody.
They're not.
They're not talking to anybody.
How are they going to ceasefire for 5 days?
There is no ceasefire. There is no 5-day ceasefire. That is simply a unilateral. No, it's simply a unilateral statement by the White House that undid their 48 hours. What they're doing is giving messages to people in Pakistan and people in Turkey and UK to broker messages, and the Iranians are passing messages back. There is a degree, if you want to call that negotiation, that's fine, but there's no face-to-face dialogue. The story about Jared Kushner and Witkoff going to Pakistan, and then nobody, and then they left. The Iranians have said, we're not talking to these guys. We're not making a deal. We're not negotiating. We have no desire to negotiate with you. And it's not just one. The Trump administration tried to come out today and say, oh, by the way, Aragachi and Galibaf are no longer, this is the Speaker of the Parliament of Iran and the foreign minister of Iran, but supposedly there's no leaders left in Iran. They're all obliterated. They're all dead, but that's not true either. The issue is that they've been taken off the kill list. So Israel has been told, do not kill these guys, right? Take them off the kill list because we're negotiating with them. These are the ones we want to negotiate with. And then we got into all the funny statements he made in front of the Republican congressman, where he's like, they offered me the job of Ayatollah, but I turned it down. Yeah. And, nobody wants to be the supreme leader over there. And he's joking around and stuff like that. Part of this is in response to try to get leaders to pop their heads out so that we can identify where they're at and take them out. Part of that is whack-a-mole. And part of it is market reaction. Part of this is market manipulation, because he's got a vested interest to keep that price of oil under 100. That is well known. The other aspect, though, that you have to understand is that Iran is demanding our capitulation. We are demanding their capitulation. We are so far apart in the 15-point peace plan and the Iranians' demands that there is no common ground there. And so we're going to get to this deadline, and there's not going to be a peace plan. There's not going to be, the Iranians have no interest whatsoever in a ceasefire, none. And we'll get into why and some of the information about just exactly what the Iranian capabilities are and what a military boots on the ground mission might look like. And this is coming from a lot of different sources, a lot of very experienced military sources, because we've gamed this thing. And some of the actions of the administration about the timing of the discussions that are being reported, some of that's media trying to paint a bad light on Donald Trump. And some of it is truth in the fact that this administration was not expecting this to go certain time. And some of the information they're telling us is actually forecasting the fact that they are planning for this to go a lot longer. Well, we'll get into all those little nuances because you can't take what people are saying literally. Some of these posts he's making, they're not communicating to the American people to keep the American public. They're communicating out to the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians. They're trying to tell them what to do and hey, you've lost, take it, surrender now, surrender completely. And it is a pressure campaign. And that's okay. It's okay. We don't want to put boots on the ground. Donald Trump doesn't want to kill American soldiers to take a piece of land that is not going to make a damn bit of difference because the missile capabilities and the other force capabilities are coming from 800, 600, 400 kilometers inland in deep underground bunkers where there's thousands of these things still. That's the reality that we'll get into a little bit later. But the statement of, oh, we're negotiating with five guys, oh, we're talking with Ghalibaf, that is designed to create internal tension in the Iranian regime in between the IRGC and the clerical leadership, okay? Because there's two different groups that have a very careful tension. IRGC is very supportive of the new Ayatollah. Very supportive, which is unusual. And the new Ayatollah is hardline. Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Parliament, hardline.
I thought he was dead.
No, he's not dead.
Oh, I thought the Speaker of the House got drone striked or whatever.
No, that's the guy that Trump tried to say, alluded to after he initially wouldn't say a name or whatever. This began to get leaked around that's who he's talking about, Ghalibaf, the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament. And this guy came out like immediately and said, screw you, I'm not talking to you. No ceasefire. Our demands are you get the hell out of the Middle East. And we'll get into some of this stuff and what it means and who really it's really designed for and why. The clip you played about his comments about the gays and the women and stuff like that, some of that belies if Donald Trump believes those things, believes that information, it makes him susceptible to Israeli manipulation and in the message of, okay, I have to be the protector of Israel, because U.S. interests and Israeli interests do not 100% align. And you want to know who actually said that the other day, which is amazing? Jake Sullivan. Jake Sullivan on the freaking Daily Show. This guy was out there obviously trying to damage Donald Trump and the administration, but he admitted, when during the Biden administration and during the Obama administration, that no, the two interests don't align. They do not align. Israel wants to create chaos and destruction and weaken all of the regional players. There is no intent, and that doesn't align with what the U.S. wants to do. And Donald Trump has even said he doesn't want to tear apart Iran and break it apart into a bunch of pieces and make them Assyria. If he does, the whole world's going to suffer. Why? Because Iran is going to destroy all of the energy infrastructure, the desalinization plants all throughout the Middle East, and this region will be entirely worthless, and our oil prices will definitely be above $200 a barrel because there's no way to fix it in a short term. Maybe it's a push for electric cars. Maybe it's a push for electric cars.
No, we're going for more corn oil. So yeah, we can put that all the way across the United States. So we're going to E15 and ethanol 10.
Tesla, baby, straight to Tesla.
Well, I don't know if it's carbon transfer there, but at some point, dude, because it's got to come from somewhere.
No, it's the ether. It's coming from the ether, man. What are you talking about? The golden age.
This is a pretty interesting thing. So, farmers get more corn out. They get to make more ethanol, and everybody in the United States gets to put ethanol in their car to basically make the supply last a little bit longer as they go through some of this. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with the $200 million they need over there for Iran, but they're going to put it to good use, I guess, right? Another interesting thing here out from California over here is the executive order that allowed the second largest collection of oil off of California to be reactivated after 2015 because they had a spill, and they spilled 3,000 gallons. Oops, sorry, we cleaned it up in a couple of days and it's been sitting idle for the last 10 years. So they turned this thing back on. They're doing 60,000 barrels a day right now. They want to triple that by the time they get done by the end of summer. And they're not doing any special fuel blends or any of that crap. They're not dealing with that. And this is going right in people's tanks. So this is a good positive thing that's happening. And I had no idea that it's the second largest oil reserve in the United States, next to the one that's the Permian Basin down in Texas. And this one's on federal land off of Santa Barbara.
600 million barrels? That is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how long it would take us to go through that.
Take 600 million barrels is not that big of a deal.
1,000 days?
Yeah, because we pump, I think it was 26 million barrels of oil out of LA ground. So this is still a pretty big chunk that's over there, but they're saying on federal land but it's got more next to it is what I'm hearing. Gas prices.
Real quick, ChatGPT says, and probably friggin' wrong, but who knows, it says 20 to 21 million barrels per day we use in the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, the Saudis pump 1 million barrels a day. So that's 600 days of Saudi production. That's 3 years. Or 2 years, sorry.
Yeah.
That's nothing. 600 million is nothing.
So gas prices at almost $9 at the famous corner they always talk about in California itself. I was right around the 560 something or so on California fuel over here per gallon at the Walmart station across the street. But gas prices are going up, and obviously California is not helping.
Wow.
So put how much you paid for gas last time. Rdoc, I don't even know when's the last time you bought gas.
No, we were looking at it just yesterday, and the prices over here and what the equivalent is. And then also Australia. Australia is like 10 Australian dollars a gallon. So it's sitting around the $5.50 to $7 range. And I was talking to down in Houston, gas prices are above $3.27. Which the fam was saying they were trying to remember, but it seems like just a year ago it was like $2.47 or something. So, yeah.
That's going to be crazy out there. Down in Texas, they've authorized to go ahead and build more of the LNG exports down there. So they're building 2 additional LNG exports out of there. And then also they had a huge fire at the place where they make the jet fuel. I think it's JP9, their high octane stuff that they make. Yeah, that facility caught on fire and was down for a few days, the stuff that we use for the nice F-35s and all that. But it's back up online and producing again. So I thought that was a little strange that place caught on fire over there down in Texas, as we do have some of these strange oil refineries catching on fire all around the world lately. But that's gas prices there, and the fertilizer prices are skyrocketing. New Orleans granular urea prices are widely used, and nitrogen fertilizers are up 90%. So
it's also used in our ammunition production.
That too, and we're also right at planting season for the United States, and I'm hearing about 3/4 of the farmers have zero things to put into the ground to fertilize. So that's not looking pretty good for a food cycle as we come up here as fuel prices go up. So where this is going to come from, I'm not sure, because I know Russia and who's the other one you were saying? Russia and who else makes this fertilizer with the drying agents and all that crap?
That's coming out of, well, the Qatar is a main point, but Iran.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of this stuff is coming out of the region. Let's just put it that way.
A lot of that stuff. So back into the United States over here, long as we're talking about the TSA problems that they're running into, some interesting comments coming out just for data points. It says that this fiscal year, TSA had been shut down 50% of the time, just this year, or 85 days. And that it had reached $1 billion in missed paychecks for the people that are working for TSA, dude. That's absolutely crazy. And like half the people are not showing up to work. It's been that long. They've already sold everything they could and tried to mortgage anything they could to stay inside their homes. They're going to leave and go work for Uber or something else. So it's pretty bad they put these people in this position. We do have the Trump administration with a new head of the DHS, which we'll get to here just one quick second here. We do have ICE doing security sorts, and they are picking up illegal immigrants. I've seen numerous videos come out from the checkpoints here of them checking all the paperwork that people have, and you can kind of tell the people in line that are real nervous, and they go right to them, pick them up, and escort them off the tarmac. So it is going pretty fast on this side.
Ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. And, dude, how stupid, right? I saw this family the other day. They were like, oh, it's a woman and her daughter, and they're taking citizens. And it turns out they had a, to leave order for about 6 or 7 years now. But, like, dude, is that, like, the last place you're going to go? Like, if you have, like, a deportation or the last place I'm going is the airport. Like, no, thank you. And, by the way, he had put Homeland Security at 13 cities, or 13 airports around the country, which happens to be 12 cities nationwide, and also said if ICE isn't enough, he may send the National Guard to said 12 cities.
So here, you can read this for everybody. This is our new pick.
Alrighty. Mark Wayne Mullen. No, I'm not going to apologize to you, Mr. If I got something to say to you, I'll say it to your face. I'm grateful for President Trump's trust in me to lead the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It's an honor to serve. As DHS Gov Secretary, I am committed to safeguarding the American people and protecting the homeland. I'll fight for your family just as I'll fight for mine. I'll look forward to standing shoulder to shoulder with the 260,000 outstanding Homeland Security employees and their families to keep our nation safe. My first priority is to end partisan fighting and reopen the U.S. Department of Homeland Security as a matter of national security. Let's get to work. Booms.
Yeah, they were making fun of him because he was a plumber one time way back in his career. But, I mean, he was a congressman and a whole bunch of other stuff that was out there, but they just stuck with the easy stuff out there and tried to make fun of him. That, obviously this guy, the plumber, is now going to fix our national security issues. Obviously, they're making fun of that. So
he's going to fix the leaks.
You got to fix the leaks, dude. Here, you might as well take a crack at this one right there for everybody, Mr. Space Shot.
The radical left Democrats. I just can't get I can't do him. Anyway, I can do, maybe Zelensky later for you guys. But and their leader, crying Chuck Schumer, the Palestinian. Dude, he's roasting him so bad lately. He's like, he's Palestinian now. Yeah, he used to be Jewish.
He's dual citizen, right? Yeah. He's what he needs to be.
That's crazy. So crying Chuck Schumer have made it very clear where they stand, and that is on the side of criminal illegal aliens and not the American people. They're refusing to fund immigration enforcement unless Republicans agree to their open border policies, which will never, ever happen again. They almost destroyed our country, allowing 25 million people to enter from prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums, those that are drug dealers, and thousands of murderers, many of whom killed more than one person. Because the Democrats have recklessly created a true national crisis, I'm using my authorities under the law to protect our great country, as I always do. Therefore, I'm going to sign an order instructing the Secretary of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullen, to immediately pay our TSA agents in order to address this emergency situation and to quickly stop the Democrat chaos at the airports. It is not an easy thing to do, but I'm going to do it. Okay. I want to thank hardworking TSA agents and also ICE for their incredible help they have given us at the airports. I will not allow the radical left Democrats to hold our country hostage any longer. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Now, Hulk, is he bringing Elon's wallet over there to pay these guys?
No. I mean, Elon did offer. I don't think he's going to take the money, but he's just going to tell him just to pay him anyways, and we'll figure out the paperwork later. Because it's a paperwork tie-up, and they want to obviously fund TSA and make sure Department of Homeland Security gets what they're needing, but they're starting on the small points here. So they're talking about taking money from a couple of the other departments at appropriation and move it over to the TSA and pay them all off is what really they're talking about doing. Even though they don't have any Congress appropriations to actually get that done, they're just going to do it. So yeah. So next clip here as we talk about that DHS and all those sort of things over here. We did have a little bit of a state visit. I really kind of want to make fun of this thing over here, but we obviously had the launch of the robots out of Tesla, the Optimus, which means they made the full announcement. They're on their commercial release here at this point and cranking them out as fast as they get. And then Melania ran out with one of them as they walked out to the front itself. Tron, did you watch any of this particular deal here? On this AI robot deal? And
yeah, I saw that. That was kind of cool.
So here, I just wanted to play this thing, not so much for the content, but the interpreter for Macron's wife.
Like you, I'm very excited, dear Melania, very enthusiastic about AI, but at the same time, I'm fascinated and worried. So my first thoughts...
He gave her a voice.
These dangers could be huge. A general... reflection is taking place in France about marking. Do we need a sort of a logo to say this content or say this or that in communications, press statements?
I don't know. I just find it interesting that she's saying she's a man.
Yeah,
and a male interpreter.
Oh God, I got one for you guys. You know, we got to take Melania out of the picture there. So, if you had to have sex with one of them, the robot or Brigitte Macron.
Well, I will say that Mrs. Macron is coming up with evidence against Candace Owens about saying that she's a man. I'll bring testimony. How they're going to do it, I have no idea.
Yeah, just the fact that that's even, an issue is just absolutely crazy and ridiculous. But again, the timeline demands it. And the fact that we have the robot, right? Fear the robot. Meanwhile, we have a man here, baby. Austin Powers, everything. It's been declared. We're going to figure it out. Whether or not she has a Michael Obama anaconda, don't want any of that stuff, but we'll figure it out. And then again, her free speech comment, she can just go scratch, dude. So it's great that we have the robot. It's great that we have the body double, the man. And this is going to further prove that maybe Sleepy Joe might have some of those robotics inside of him.
That's what I thought too. You see that thing walking, you go, that's Joe Biden.
He just pooped himself. How does a robot do that? Oh.
They modeled the gate after Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's so bad, dude. That's so bad. Oh my God. It would make sense over here. What else? We're going to take a quick
later. Putting them side by side.
So we're going to take a quick side trip over here to Epstein land over here because some of this other information they want to talk to the prison guards because it's come out that one of them received a $5,000 payday a couple of days before the suicide happened. And remember, they were napping and shopping and not monitoring any of the cameras that they told us was broken. But the only person that saw the actual video of Epstein dying was Mrs. James Comey, or Comey's daughter, who was in the SDNY. Just saying, Maureen Comey's the only one that saw it.
His daughter. Yeah, dude. I listened to, you remember the whole thing, Men That Stare at Goats? The whole, what do they call that stuff there? What do they call that? Remote viewing, right? So this guy said, and I'll do it as quick as I can. So basically he said 4 people did a remote viewing on Jeffrey Epstein's cell. And what they all 4 came back to found that he hung himself, killed himself. Okay. All right. Then he goes, but wait, we actually employ this thing called blockers, which I never did during that thing. So they went back with blockers because he said that there are entities that can mess with their remote viewing. All right, long story short, he says 3 days or 2 days before Jeffrey Epstein died, 3 guys that were on that same floor as him were all given keys. The cameras went off. They unlocked their doors, went in, talked to him. He pled. They killed him. They set it up to make it look like he hung himself. So again, not telling you I think that's real, but that's just what one pretty well-known remote viewer, probably one of the biggest groups out there, was saying they saw. 4 different people all saw the same thing. But again, who knows?
Yeah, hung them with the noose they never found.
Yeah, I thought those sheets were like make it so you can't hang yourself. They're like tissue.
Exactly.
Well, this reminds me of after Vegas when they brought out Jesus Campos and they put him out on Ellen, I think. And he was that security guard that brought up the bags. He got shot and he had a story and whatnot. So it's interesting that they're bringing back like the source, the guards, for a story that was already, it's already been done. I mean, didn't Cash say, there was no, they went through it. He killed himself, blah, blah, blah. So why are we still getting into it? There's a little bit more to this and I'm liking it.
Yeah, we're going to find out here shortly. What else do we got over here? Space Shot, you want to read this for everybody? Follow the Pen group. You there?
Who are you talking about?
I was saying Space Shot. Could you read this for the group? I guess not. Tron, you want to do a little reading?
Yeah, guys. Catherine Herridge. Epstein email claimed he would get former Obama White House counsel and Ken Starr to help delay, even block 9/11 family lawsuits against Saudi Arabia before Trump's 2016 inauguration. Quote, there was a sense of urgency to get certain things done before Trump came into his first term. Why would you work with a country to prevent United States citizens from getting reparations based on the 9/11 attacks? A Saudi embassy spokesman has our questions about its leadership or our relationship with Epstein, but did not immediately comment. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein did not respond to our email seeking comment. A spokeswoman for Catherine Rumler, former Obama White House counsel, said, quote, Miss Rumler did not take any action in either a professional or personal capacity related to JASTA, that is the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, the 9/11 families, or their ability to sue Saudi Arabia. She was never asked to take any action on this matter and never did. Another one, Miss Rumler welcomes the opportunity to appear before the committee. At the time she interacted with Epstein, she was a practicing criminal defense attorney and shared a client with him. She has done nothing wrong and had no knowledge of any ongoing criminal activity on his part. Ken Starr died in 2022.
The emails are showing that Epstein's all in between all this entire group, trying to facilitate some sort of answer, where they're going with it or trying to obfuscate it or hide it or those types of things. But I would like to point out is when they raided Epstein's apartment there, they did find a passport that was from Saudi Arabia from the early 80s, and it didn't have his name on it, but it did have his photo on there. So I find that quite interesting there, of those types of things that they're talking about over here. Where to put it, I'm not entirely sure. Just very interesting. And just to throw a little bit on top of that, that Larry Ellison deleted his X account being associated with Mr. Epstein over here. The other thing that we want to make sure we tie in together here, it says, does this mean that Robert Sessi has flipped? A 35-year-old case, he's action just a few months after the banker of BCCI, who laundered money for the Iran-Contra arms sales, gets busted for trying to work for the cartels. This one is also the same bank that Epstein was using at that time. And it says DOJ assigned a lawyer to a 35-year-old case. Lawyers filed notice of appearance in the case itself. This is the case that Mr. Robert Mueller covered up. Ran the cover up for the CIA during the BBCI scandal, which was the CIA money laundering, where Osama bin Laden held multiple accounts from the 89 to 2001. Mueller ran the NorCal DOJ, while 4 9/11 hijackers were active there. Then 1 week before the 9/11 became FBI head. And remember, he just died like a week or so ago. I'm not saying that has any connections with anything. I just find it extremely interesting these chain of events that if you put them together. I'm not saying they do. I'm not sure where to put it. Thoughts? Anybody?
Well, this isn't as nice as No Name McStain dying 30 days after Q Team told us to the exact time. Every dog has his day, but Mueller, you can't ignore the fact that Comey's in the crosshairs, subpoenaed, and all this stuff. Russia coming back. And Mueller, guys, again, he was there before 9/11, and in a complete dirtbag. He was a bumbling fool during those congressional hearings, and there he goes, guys. So again, maybe saving some taxpayers some money, maybe old age and whatnot. But a part of me just doesn't like this. I'm not happy. There's no conclusive, closure to this to these actors, these criminals. We don't like them seeing, going the way of, the death route. A couple banana peels on an ice fishing trip. That's great and all, but again, hammer of justice. Let them rot in jail, and hopefully this doesn't happen to others where they just kind of, pass away. But everything for a reason. So it's nice to see that one, and the way that boss reacted, absolutely beautiful. Love it. So shout out Mueller and adios, amigo. It's hot down there.
What was his comment that he had said?
I'm glad he's dead. Now he can't hurt anyone anymore. Like, it's like, wow, dude, this is, again, it goes deep, man. He has a history. That's scum.
Hey, Hulk or Tron or
Yeah.
anybody, did anybody figure out what the hell he was doing meeting with President Trump before, Trump's administration there? Like, he was looking to be the FBI director when we know he was for 12 years and could not be. Again, he already made his limit. So that was all very weird in the Q drops as well, talking about like, wait, why was he over there meeting with President Trump before all this stuff went down? I don't know. You guys ever get a good answer for it?
Other than he was ex-military and you could be reappointed to your position or face charges. That's one option that we always thought about. Maybe he died in Gitmo.
Which they're expanding more again, by the way.
More? I'll need that for Saturday as you put that in there. It did come out from Epstein lawyer over here who had to testify in front of the Epstein lawyers had to testify in front of Congress. That stuff did come out. This is the same comment I played last week that they basically came out and said those lawyers lied all the way through that thing. And it basically comes out like that they hear no evil, see no evil, didn't see. I don't know what you're talking about. All he did was this. And who facilitated the payment for JP Morgan for all the victims? Oh, that we helped out with that. Oh, okay. So basically they're covering their ass and not saying they didn't know nothing. And hopefully it leaves them alone because they were kind of the instrumental payment system and protection racket for the Epstein systems. So that's what they said.
Like Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing.
Dude, it's crazy. So if you get a chance to take a look at that, I would recommend too. It's just, you could just tell they're lying or just as soon as they start going through it. Here, you can read this for everybody, Mr. Space Shot.
What did they say before? How do you know a lawyer's lying? His lips are moving? Epstein file search. Lynn Forrester de Rothschild just sold her 27% stake in The Economist days after French prosecutors raided the Rothschild Bank in Paris over Epstein connections. The exits are accelerating. So that's interesting, dude. I did see that the other day, how they were raiding some of the places, and one of the women, was it Sarah something or whatever, was kind of overseeing them, the raid, or watching
one of the ambassadors Paris got taken down at this time. So that's what was going on with this. So that's interesting to see that as this shakes out more as an international thing versus what's happening. And, one guy takes himself off of Twitter. We'll see if that gets any better. You had talked about this. You could read that for everybody.
Oh, again, former Rothschild director Francois Poli appointed head of the Vatican Bank.
And I went to go check out, see what the Vatican, what they were doing over there, and you can read that for everybody.
Okidoki, Pope Leo hosted the world's most senior exorcist at the Vatican today. They warned him of a terrifying global rise in occultism, esotericism, and Satanism. Yeah, it's like right in the back. It's right in the back.
So that was a couple of days ago. So I just find interesting the little stories that we find what's going on. And then here's one more for you. You could read this for everybody.
Okie dokie. King Charles will deliver a speech to the U.S. Congress the week of April 27 as he visits the USA. What?
Yeah, they also said Comer had come out and says maybe he could stop by and testify. So yeah, they're coming for a state visit, and they're going to do the whole thing. So it should be quite interesting. The week of April 27th is going down. I didn't know that was a thing, but it's in the news, so you got it now. Comments? All right, keep going.
Yeah, why would he come?
Yeah.
Like,
he's going to speak in front of the Congress just like Bibi Netanyahu would do. And you think they're all going to applaud and all that? I don't know. Just remember those.
we're going to leave you guys alone and we're going to stop messing with you. We're finally going to give you your independence without messing with you guys anymore.
Yeah, Dirty Carpenter says no kings. We should have a no kings protest on DC when he shows up. Yeah. That would be funny. Let's keep going. What else do we got for you coming out here? How long is this little clip? We're actually going to play a little bit of Mr. Solomon over here, who's had a lot of inside baseball, which we've heard a lot about election this and corruption that and spying this. Which is all good information, well and good, but we haven't seen the baby yet. Everybody keeps talking about how big this thing is and how strong it's going to be and what it looks like. And deliver the baby. It's time to see it. Quit talking about it. But here's Mr. Solomon going into another one.
Yeah, listen, there are 4 consecutive codename investigations that the FBI targeted at President Trump. Crossfire Hurricane begins with Russia collusion, then Round River, which deals with Ukraine. Then Plasmic Echo, which deals with classified documents, and then Arctic Frost, which is the aftermath of January 6th. The man, twice elected by the United States people to be their president, was under constant FBI scrutiny for 10 consecutive years. And many, many people are swept up in it, as you so articulately pointed out. Most of those people were innocent, but their privacy and their intrusions were significant. We learned today 3 really significant things. Kash Patel had 2 years of his phone and email taken. He obviously is innocent, never got charged. He got confirmed as an FBI director. He's got a security clearance. He obviously didn't do anything wrong. We learned today that 14 members of Congress were targeted in just one meeting with Jack Smith and prosecutors. That is a dragnet, basically fishing expedition to look for some dirt on the opposition candidate that was likely going to run against Joe Biden in 24. And that's where the parallels with Watergate come up. The third thing we learned today that I think is very important, Chuck Grassley raising questions about the accuracy of Jack Smith's recent testimony to Congress. He said he and his team did not rely on the January 6th Select Committee for much evidence or for much of their case. Today, they released emails saying they were going page by page through the evidence and logging everything, suggesting that the staff was actually deeply using January 6th. I'd be watching for a possible referral from Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley. One final note, just want to real quickly mention, I heard the word wiretap a lot today during the hearing. I have not been able to confirm any wiretap on Susie Wiles' phones. There would be a Title III notification she would eventually get. No evidence that ever came. I'm not even sure that a phone call was recorded yet. Not been able to confirm that. So I just want to caution people on the use of the term wiretap because my reporting, I've not been able to confirm it. And there are possible other explanations for what happened there. That said, the fact that they were monitoring or looking at Susie Wiles, Kash Patel, anyone, that's what raises so much concern. They were spying on the opposition. Yeah.
So the interesting thing was the name of the operations that they ran in there before, because I was wondering when that was going to come out for the 4 different operations before we even got a chance to get to Mar-a-Lago and the Arctic Frost investigation with Jack Smith. I'm hearing Tulsi's going to come out with more information in regards to the January 6th committee. They found the stuff that they deleted. I'm not sure if it's in burn bags or not, but they got a big chunk of information from, what's his name? Pencil Nick. What's his name? Adam Schiff?
Schiff.
Yep. So Schiff's information is going to start dropping shortly of the stuff that he was doing when he was doing the Unselect Committee over there in Congress about January 6th. So interesting little pieces to pay attention to. Comments from anybody?
I love it. I mean, and how long ago was this? Because you're talking about Susie Wiles in there.
Before the 2024 election.
She's been with him, but she really didn't come to the, to the front publicly.
Well, she was Republican. She was the RNC. She was within the RNC, and she was part of the which pack is it? The same one that Kellogg was in. We've talked about this before. So she was a key player in the campaign and the PACs that were running the campaign for Trump administration, of course. And then she was also, prior to that, very involved in other campaigns in the RNC fundraising process in general.
The other thing I want to throw out here is this one's just basically showing that they were doing mass surveillance. Kash Patel and Susie Wilds are only 2 out of the 9 that were listed here, and the rest of the list isn't out yet. I'm sure Trump's on here too, probably some of the others, maybe a Dan and those guys. So that stuff is coming out. We'll find out here shortly.
Bad guys spying on bad guys? Or, I mean, that makes me feel a little bit better about them.
Exactly.
We get into Palantir and Anduril and all that kind of stuff too now.
That's another whole nother story in itself, all those things. The other thing is the Judicial Watch has forced the FBI to admit the existence of the secret room containing the burn bags that we had heard about all out there. There's about 1.9 million of those records, and they're fighting back and forth to get access to said ballots itself. This number could double because they found out that they don't know if it's double-sided or not. So it could be almost 2 million coming from everything from all the stuff we had just talked about before, all the way down to 2016, were found in an office inside these burn bags. So, rays of light or something along those lines, because this is a particular area that you couldn't get access to unless you were the director itself. And it was one of those kind of traded with speech. Oh, this is where we got all this stuff. Here's the keys. Very off the record type of thing, along with the secret file system they were running too, saying, hey, we can't comply with any of your requests because we don't have any access to it. They just classified everything as what they're running into. So this is coming in from the Comey era stuff too also. So we'll see what happens. And just remember, Comey is the one that they talked about that got subpoenaed for the grand jury down in Florida. Another 150 were in that batch. So it was not Comey, it was Brennan and 150 other ones.
They coming, baby. They coming. And somebody had told me this the other day. I wasn't sure, but yeah, Dan Bongino signed a deal to return to Fox News as a paid contributor. So I wonder if he's going to be doing a show, if he's going to be going full time, or is he just going to be doing spot interviews? My guess
Probably
would
both.
my guess would be more spot interviews, or maybe they'll give him a show.
No, I guarantee he's going to stay over on Rumble and do his thing. So that's happening over here. Another thing coming out, President Donald Trump says Speaker Johnson and Leader John Thune will pass a clean extension to the FISA Section 702, calling for an 18-month extension, and basically says, when used properly, FISA is an effective tool to keep Americans safe. For these reasons, I have called for a clean 18-month extension. So that's interesting from the previous history we've seen about Trump saying, FISA, they spied on me, they lied, all the whole thing that we saw how they lied to the FISA judges here. But under his administration, we're not going to change anything. We're going to leave it as it is. And maybe 18 months later, we'll take a look at maybe restrict the stuff before we hand over the keys to potentially a Democrat side of the Congress that would come. I'm not sure. We'll find out. So that's where they're going with this. So, yeah, it's something I didn't expect to happen and come out on that side. What else do we got? This is the Tulsi Gabbard released the documents of the former intelligence chair Adam Schiff, locked away in the Capitol SCIF for several years and couldn't let even members of Congress see it. So that's coming out there about Adam Schiff, Mr. Pencil Neck. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to throw out here. I don't know where to put this, Alexa Watkins, and I don't really get involved in pointing fingers between the Flynn group this and that group over here, and those guys are bad, these guys are better. I don't know where to put it. I kind of stayed on the outside of this, so either Tron or Space Shot want to say anything about this particular situation and what your thoughts are?
I mean, I kind of said it in the beginning. I've supported both of these guys over the years, and I don't have concrete enough evidence to sit here and say, yes, bad guy, yes, bad guy, and oh, wait, that one's good, that one's good. So, I'm just going to let the smoke clear, and as always, the truth will rise to the top eventually.
Yep, and at the end of the day, none of this actually matters. I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, are MAGA not going to vote for the right way in 2028 or the midterms because of what Cash's girlfriend thinks or how Flynn, is speaking certain way and certain all that doesn't matter. That's a side quest. That's, I mean, again, it's boss or nothing. It's America first. And again, this is a side quest. Now, a lot of these individuals that she mentions, you know, you got to kind of raise your eyebrows. I mean, are they getting $7,000, you know, tweets from their Israeli counterparts? Are they getting $300 retweets from certain other highly influenced people? I mean, this is important too, because this is a business and they can sway opinions. And if it's coming from foreign, you know, international, that again is meddling in our elections. That's meddling in the American process. This is our way, and we don't like that kind of stuff. We like it, you know, the truth. So if anyone's out there being phony, put them on a spotlight, blah, blah, blah. But again, it's boss or nothing. I listen to his words. I see what he puts out on True Social. And you know, no matter which way you feel about this, guys, when this came out, I even mentioned this prior to the show, Boss on True Social, around the same time that Alexis dropped this, he drops, you know, Roger Stone, my friend over here at Mar-a-Lago, blah, blah, blah. Then, like, literally a half hour later, he drops a Cash Patel link to some Solomon article, I think. And then Alexis comes out. So if you think Alexis is coming up with this on the side without Cash knowing, that's impossible. So, again, take it for what is... Yeah. So it's one of the ones. So either, you know, General Flynn's going to be the next, you know, fill in the blank for the boss's cabinet, or Cash Patel is going to break up with his girlfriend. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. America wins.
Let me add some perspective here that goes beyond the current events, and this ties into your Epstein stuff. Okay, and Space Shot and I have talked about this, and he dropped a video with a lot of stuff that I already knew and some other things that I didn't. Okay, Epstein and his entire network of compromat and who he was blackmailing and what they were blackmailing and who he was tied in, affiliated with. You know, you got to look at it as you're playing all sides all the time for a purpose. But there was another Epstein. And if you understand, and this is for the audience to go dig themselves, and Hulk, this is as far as I'm going to go into it, that we talked about. Lucky Luciano. If you do not know who he is, go dig it. Go dig on it. We don't have time for a 6-hour dig on this program to tie in the Jewish mafia and La Cosa Nostra and all that whole history going back the last 100 years. Okay, and it's before the 100 years. We could even go back in there. But start with Lucky Luciano. Start with Mo Dalitz. Go and look at who General Groves was. Look at how they were interacting with Murder Inc., the Italian mafia, how they're interacting with the U.S. military and FDR, and what FDR asked Luciano to do during World War I and what he did do. Look at the Manhattan Project in General Groves. Look at how he was blackmailing and had compromat on the U.S. Attorney General, the creation of the FBI, being involved from the very groundwork to make sure that they had control of the FBI, all the way through into the military-industrial complex and what he does to stay ahead of the U.S. Justice Department and how he controls and works with the president and everybody else and other foreign leaders. He was either a super Epstein or Epstein was a super him. It hasn't changed. Okay. Cash Patel, is his girlfriend compromised? Is he compromised? Is he unable to go beyond a certain level? Is he working behind the scenes regardless of these forces that are against him? Because those forces are there. Don't kid yourself. They're there. The deep state is that. It's actually mixed in. And Luciano, in one aspect of this deep state cabal, working with certain forces or using them, maybe that's a better word, mutual benefit, he ultimately was fighting the Rothschilds and the monarchy of the UK and what they did to the Jews in World War II. There's a lot of secrets and a lot of deep, dark stuff that if you dig and understand that, now then you bring it back up and you evaluate what's going on with our FBI director, what's going on with Pam Bondi, what's going on with Trump and Iran, what's going on. then the patterns can start falling into place because there's nothing new. It's the same playbook.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask Rdoc, what do you mean Lucky Luciano is connected into Dominion? And 45 minutes later, I got the answer. So I definitely recommend to go take a look at it. I was thoroughly impressed on that 45-minute conversation on how he tied in Dominion.
The same thing the Maxwell sisters are doing with our government. He started. Sperry Computer becomes... It ultimately ties in with other different little groups, and he was investing into Univac that sold the computer system that created the internet. Okay, and then he gets ahead of the thing, and they start creating another avenue to stay in control, and that's Dominion voting machines. The whole Dominion thing, and I mean, this ties into Cuba and Castro, pre-Castro,
Venezuela.
It ties everything.
It was pretty interesting. A little conversation we had on a side quest with me and Rdoc for 45 minutes. That was the longest answer I've ever had out of him. What do you mean, Lucky Luciano's connected to Dominion? And then I had to get the history lesson. So go back and take a look out there.
You guys go dig. Go have fun and go dig.
I was impressed.
Would you think it would be
a
good starting point would be that video that I've been telling all these people to these folks they will watch. I'm dropping it again because it's a good base to start.
That's just sub video. The full 4-hour video may be a good place to start. And we've talked about some of this stuff on the show and other things
in pieces.
But yeah, and what was funny, what I told Space Shot is I don't want to give too much information away. I got to be careful here. Okay, when I was in Puerto Rico, one of the guys that is in that video that's referenced in this picture is shown. I told this talker, I have his photo. Okay, is one of the key guys that he mentions, and I met him at a Jewish billionaire's villa, and this Jewish billionaire mafia guy, he's a mafia guy. I'm going to tell you straight up, he's like a crook. Okay, he's probably involved in drugs and a whole bunch of other stuff, but because there were people doing coke somewhere in that house, because they told me later on that's what was going on. But I sat on the balcony in the top level, and this guy cooked me a tomahawk steak while I was talking with the former chief of staff for the Fed Reserve chairman, who then later became another Fed guy. I'm not going to go into more detail because I'll give him away, about some things, and another guy that I'll call Ghost. Okay, and Ghost tells me later on in another conversation, oh, those two guys over there, they did this, this, and this. And I'm looking at them, and I took a panorama picture of the sunset, but I made sure to capture their faces in a photo. Little spycraft.
There you go.
And it's the same guy that's mentioned that video, Chom. It's the same freaking guy, dude. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Back into our story over here with that. And then the other side of the story is Flynn got his $1.25 million payout for the Judge Sullivan and the stuff that they did to him for all the way back in 2016. So yeah, that happened.
They lose the house? Didn't they lose the house? And
yep, they lost a lot of shit.
Dude, this video.
So he got a payout.
You watch that, Hulk? The part where he gets to the middle, like click in the middle just quick. It's a minute, but just scrub, maybe go a little. Yeah, I think you'd be good right there.
But anyway, everybody could tell from just the last, like I said, last 48 hours, never mind the last 10 years. So what I've decided to do is I decided to come to an MRI clinic. You see, there's an MRI clinic behind me, and I'm going to have my fucking head examined, okay? Because I don't know why I do any of this shit. But you know what? Our country is worth it. And I'm going to never give up, and I'm going to continue to fight for this beautiful country of ours because it means something to me. And I hope it means something to most of you. All right. God bless y'all. God bless America. And
that's funny. That reminds me, I got to go to MRI tomorrow. Yay!
Make sure to wear lots of metal.
You already got enough. They actually want to take some of that out. If you want an update on me, as long as we're talking
go
about
to the scrapyard. Take Hulk with you.
You know, I talked to the back guy. He says you're screwed. You're going to have pain. Then I did the arm guy, and the arm guy's like, we want to go back into the elbow and pull all as much of that hardware out as we can, and then cut all that stuff apart, and then give you another 4 weeks worth of therapy to get more arm movement on there. And then I'm like, oh, what do you think about the wrist? He's all, you're going to get some bad arthritis on there, and they're going to probably have to put back in that stabilizer in your wrist when you get older. So I'm all, yay, great, awesome.
How do they do an MRI if you have metal in your body? Is
It's
there a special one?
titanium, or it's what they use. So it's a non-ferrous metal that's inside your body. But I can feel that on some of the stronger MRI machines, I can feel the static electricity going off in my elbow because there's so much metal in there.
Like start catching
kind of
radio
like
channels.
touching.
That's
Almost.
just the anal probe that they.
It's not that one. So that's the update on my arm. So I got more MRIs and a whole bunch of other stuff in the surgery coming up next month. So that's where I'm at. So that's my update a little bit there as we go through that. What else do we got over here? Oh, James O'Keefe is fuming for the lack of action coming from Trump's DOJ, saying his job is pointless if arrests aren't made. We came an inch from losing our lives. I need something to happen. Otherwise, I'm going to have to stop doing what I'm doing. That's an interesting comment to come out of him. And I think we all kind of feel the same way of waiting to see the baby birth.
Well, I noticed that a lot with James O'Keefe is that, yeah, he has these amazing investigations. He caught him red-handed, but where's the follow-up? I mean, there's so much there, right?
I mean, the whole Act Blue thing I thought would have been an easy pushover just in regards to donation to the Democratic Party. I don't know. We're getting into that, but that involves FTX, China, and Ukraine. I don't know if we're ready for that one there.
Did you see the other
Go ahead.
video he did? I think it was somewhat recently where he got all perturbed there. James O'Keefe, he was like, we've been waiting for arrest. You guys are waiting for arrest. And then he's like, I'm telling you, the arrests are coming. And he's like, you know why? Because if this stuff doesn't happen, I'm going to expose these mofos. And he gets up off the desk and walks off. Like, yeah, we're here for it. We're here. And, that's to my point, too, like about everybody like wondering and fighting about what's going on. Like, people don't realize there's tens of millions of people just like us around here that want to see, and there's also a bunch of people that have not a clue in the world of anything that's going on. But there are tens of millions of people just like us that do want to see and are waiting for justice. Former military, first responders, police, etc. Many.
Us, we've been waiting. We'd wait for a while.
Yeah, just like us. Millions, tens of millions of people just like us. Maybe not as screwed up as us, but
What else do we got? We're definitely not going to get the SAVE Act. And the last time I checked is Thune sent everybody home Friday afternoon for the holiday weekend, spring break and Easter and all that fun jazz. So as far as I know, everybody's off for at least a week. I don't think it's 2. It might be 2. I'm not entirely sure. So at this point, we have no SAVE Act, even though Trump says he's not going to sign any more paperwork coming across his desk until we get the SAVE Act done. They tried to give DHS a small funding for a little while. Democrats said no on that. So it's not going very good for him out there. And everybody's pointing at Mr. Thune over here. Would you like to read that there for everybody? I thought it was interesting.
Well, yeah, just really quick on that last one. We finally got our 53-47 vote. Okay. Senate leadership.
Wrong
John.
way.
Yeah, exactly. That means that we voted for the other side, or some people on our side are turncoats, which we knew. John Thune is next up for re-election in 2028. And we have Rdoc from Texas who's going to... Okay, and his political position is about to as secure as it gets. He won his last race in 22 by roughly 40 points, then captured the Senate GOP leadership in 24 by 29 to 24 margin, while sitting on a campaign war chest of over $20 million and backed by and aligned by super PAC muscle in the $100 million range. Taken together, dominant statewide performance, majority support inside the conference, a massive financial backing. It sounds like they're setting this guy up for a movie. Can you fluff this guy up anymore? He enters the next position in a cycle that is, for all practical purposes, unbeatable. This is why he feels comfortable blocking the SAVE Act, the president's nominees, and his agenda. And then again, guys, this is incumbent upon us here, and especially the folks from his state, to get on his ass and start reaching out to these people. Write emails, call the friggin' number off the hook, tell this jerk off to get it passed. And what they need to do is, was this a standalone bill, Hulk? Probably not, is my guess, right?
The SAVE Act, they pulled it out and tried to get the voting thing done, and they couldn't even get it that far.
Yeah, which was what Lurch said. He was like, if you just put the vote out there just for that, you think, Democrats would support that. All right, well, maybe the thing on his neck, got better. He's thinking differently now.
Yeah, so that's going on with Thune over here. On the other side over here, TMZ decided to go ahead and put the screws to Congress, and he's all, these people all went on break and they didn't do anything we needed them to do. So if you see any one of the 535 members of Congress on vacation at the beach at Disneyland, please go ahead and send us the picture to TMZ, and they're going to go ahead and post it. Put the screws to the rest of the people that didn't want to vote for any of the DHS, TSA, or the voter registration stuff. So I find that interesting that TMZ said that.
Make it so they can't walk down the street. And again, not violence, but you can be loud and make people uncomfortable as well.
Exactly. Did you know he's gay, by the way? Most people don't know that.
Both of them, they look like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's an interesting, there's an interesting story about him and his boyfriend when he died of AIDS, because they both were HIV positive.
Were?
Very interesting. Yeah.
Crying in Elton John, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The other, Chad Bianco over here, who's running for the governorship of California here, has a problem because they had in a particular district, I think it was San Bernardino, they had 650 ballots under the judge approved for a warrant. 45 of those were extra. And they're like, you can't take a look at them. He's all, I'm not trying to change the election. The amount of votes that are here are not going to sway the election in this particular county. We're worried about the 4,500 extra votes that showed up, and we had 2 court cases. We got a subpoena, and then the Attorney General Rob Bonta of California basically stepped in there and goes, no, you can't look at any of it. It's all fraud, blah, blah, blah. We already looked at it. There was only 300. He's all, only 300? Won't you give me the info, and I'll double check you? And they're like, no, we don't want to share any info with you. So California is a little scared right now because they already got the ballots, and the court is slightly holding it off just for a little bit, but they're going to be able to continue on and figure out what these extra 4,500 votes are coming into California were. So that's an interesting thing that's happening there too. What else do we got out here? Oh, California report shows that 477,000 illegals work just in San Francisco alone. That's coming out from the Bay Area Economic Institute. Almost 500,000 undocumented workers in San Francisco itself. That's absolutely huge. So this chart here shows 82% of the maids and housekeepers in the Bay Area are immigrants. 39% of them are undocumented. So that's pretty crazy. Remember all those people? The people in the hospitals in California got a raise due to Gavin Newsom? Yay. So stay and vote for the Democrats. So interesting things to be paying attention to, dude. That's crazy numbers just in San Francisco. And just remember, Nick Shirley over here got the hat tip from the president over here because he was over in Minnesota and also in California over here exposing a lot of the fraud. Got a hat tip for the president for the videos that he has done and brought forth a lot of that information. So good for him. Some of these investigations that are coming out here just in Los Angeles, because I had talked about that the most amazing thing is Van Nuys, California has 16% of the entire budget for Medicaid for their convalescent homes, just in one area. That's a small city that's out there. They say $3.5 billion in taxpayer losses. Almost 2,000 hospice providers just in one city. 112 of those hospice licenses in one commercial building. Length of stay 3 months. And normally you put them in hospice, it's about 18 days and you're going to die. But they last longer than 3 months, and then they ship them to other hospice cares and run their numbers back through them. Oh, it's Riverside. Thank you, Reno Gal, who did that. It wasn't San Bernardino. That was Riverside, California, that they took all the ballots from. So, yay. The amount of fraud. Dude, I don't know where to put this.
They're doing the shell game with the patients. So they'll just move them over here and then bill you and then move you over here and bill you. Yeah, that's bad. And like, dude, how asleep at the wheel is like the treasurer or whoever's the the controller for all these funds. Like somebody's seriously asleep at the wheel.
Well, here, this is the response that'll give you your answer.
I tell you, what really was the icing on the cake for me was the fact we sent a letter to the California DOJ saying, what happens if we have a child who's being sex trafficked by an illegal alien in our town? Can we at least do a welfare check on that child? And the answer was surprising, which is no. That would be in violation of SB 54, with no other explanation of how do you save this child.
So, yeah, California's it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's just crazy sanctuary laws that they have here.
Well, at least the thing about the transgender got turned over, right? Well, They can't hide it from the parents or anymore or whatever. I mean,
they're trying to challenge it, but the court turned them down and says, nope, we're going to listen to the Supreme Court on that one. What else are we going over here? J.D. Vance led a task force, now suspended 70 hospice homes and healthcare providers in mere days after it was created. And we also got a pause, and the U.S. Senate confirmed President Trump's anti-fraud assistant attorney General Collins McDonald for 52 to 47. So he's supposed to be working with J.D. Vance going after some of this fraud. So they're moving forward. Let's see if they make any issues out there. It can make a difference out in California. So that's happening. California did come out with a new ad for their DARE program here, and I just figured I'd share this with you.
Police are reviving the DARE program with a bold twist, letting kids sample drugs under supervision. At Roosevelt Elementary, officers measured out tiny tasters of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and more.
It kind of tastes like burnt sugar, but it makes my tongue numb. I like it.
The cocaine one was super fast. My brain feels like it's doing jumping jacks.
The sweet smells like my uncle's garage, but in a good way.
Police are...
Oh my God. Awesome. Nancy Reagan's rolling in her grave. Let's get us some marijuana cigarettes. Let's go. Gateway drugs for all.
That is
no, yeah. That's California is a little bit out of control with their drug addiction programs. So just wanted to put that out there. Also ran by this nice lady over here talking about Minneapolis, about the money that flowed out of the airport with the fraudsters because TSA was taking scans of all the money. Said they spent it on resorts in Kenya, apartments, buildings in Nairobi, property in Turkey, luxury homes, luxury cars, $790 million of taxpayers flown right out of Minnesota, right on an airplane. So they know how much they did. And then this one right here, this made me a little surprised. So here we go.
I'm Minnesota State Representative Krista Knutson. Every time we turn around, it's just more and more fraud scandals in our state. Today, in the fraud committee, the Department of Human Services testified that they haven't been tracking the IP addresses of money that's being literally flown out of our state and where it's going. They did turn on that reporting for 2 weeks, and they found that, yes, a lot of those IP addresses were tied to overseas computers. And then they quickly shut it off after just 2 weeks of seeing where this money is actually going. It's crazy, but listen for yourself.
DHS billed. So, yeah, they turned it on for 2 weeks, and they go, oh, shit, there's a lot of fraud. And turned it back off. It doesn't want to share any of the information with anybody. That's what's going on in Minnesota right now. So, yeah, there's corruption and how do you handle the fraud and Tim Walsh and all the stuff that's going down in there that we've seen with what's his name, Nick, whatever his name is, Nick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to shut it off. Just little pieces you got to pay attention to. I find extremely concerning. So, yeah. So comments, anything you guys want to throw out there? Because I don't even know where to put.
Where's the arrest? I can't believe this. Like, how much more is it going to build up? Like, and this is the whole point, guys. Is if it's not us that are upset. I mean, if you're a resident of Minnesota, I mean, come on now. This is wow, beyond taxation without representation. This is criminal. Where is it at? Let's bring it.
Yeah, exactly. What else do we got for you here? Oh, hey, RFK Jr. over here says, I found that people in my agency that they were ordered by the Biden White House not to do program integrity. In other words, not to enforce against the fraud. We want to focus only on enrollment, getting people onto the system, not off of the system, and don't worry about any of the fraud. And that's coming out for the hospice fraud they were seeing over in California. So don't look at it, just keep doing it. So that's coming out of his department, words out of his mouth. So yeah, more fraud, no arrest. What else do we got? Oh, yeah, here. Analysis. Over half of the immigrants and households in America are on welfare. 53% of immigrant-headed households use welfare. 61% for illegal immigrants' households on welfare. Even crazier, it's been discovered that illegal immigrants can have a kid, then that kid qualifies them for housing, Section 8. That's the way the system works. So that's absolutely crazy, some of the numbers that are getting out there. And then Trump's like, if we just get rid of the fraud, we can make a huge dent on a lot of our debt that we have, make a huge difference. And I think that's true. I don't know how big it is. What is it? 20% every year, maybe 25?
And the worst part is they're on welfare. They're taking cash jobs. They're mowing your lawn. They're they're an apprentice. They're here. They're on the construction site. They're making a lot more money than we could ever imagine. Then they shuffle it back to Mexico, create a family business, and they're set for generations. It's not going to happen. The fleecing of America must stop.
Or I'm going to have to start a hospice fraud care system or something just to be
Or a
even
taco
with these.
stand with hospice patients selling tacos. Listen, we'll figure it out.
That's actually a good combo. We'll see if we get to that out there. What else do we get out here? Oh, FBI covered up a Chinese plot to use fake driver's license and rig the mail-in votes for Biden. So the stuff that we all had talked about, that they got into the voter data in certain states and then started to print IDs and then shipping them back to the United States so they can go ahead and make them totally fraudulent, just vote for ghost people, or the ones they want the illegal immigrants to make them look legal so they got real ID and they can go vote. So that was going on over there, and they shut down the whole investigation. So, yay. Chris Krebs and the whole CISA. Yeah, how will that turn out?
Coming back now, though. Well, all these different areas just seem to be coming back into the fold right now, just recently. While he decides to go over there, almost, blind like a blind man. Let me go fuck with Iran right now. I don't know, not enough stuff going on in South America and in Venezuela and with the elections and all this stuff. Yeah, you want me to read?
Yeah, you want to take a crack at that first two paragraphs, at least right here?
Crap! DNI Tulsi Gabbard has learned that U.S. intelligence intercepted Ukraine government plans to route hundreds of millions of American tax dollars to boost Biden's 2024 campaign against Donald Trump and the DNC. Gabbard is now asking the U.S. agency for international development to determine if the, quote, plot was carried out. The U.S. tax dollars were earmarked for Ukraine.
It's pretty much FTX and Act Blue and all that type of crap. That's probably a big chunk of what they're talking about here at this point.
Oh, it goes into the National Endowment for Democracy. It goes into about 150 other little NGOs, and it goes into.
Well, I was also thinking about the Chinese credit cards that they were accepting into Act Blue with only a credit card number.
But see, those are just on-ramp points.
Yeah, exactly.
Once the funds are collected and moved, we're talking about U.S. taxpayer dollars designated usually through these U.S. defense appropriations, because that's where they put this crap in there as amendments and stuff like that to fund these types of groups, so they can tie it to defense, so that nobody votes against the defense bill. And all the NAFOs, all the money that went into the media of Ukraine, all the NAFOs, that circular funding group that then feeds back in and rolls stories up into our Mockingbird media that then influences the U.S. electorate. So all that social media, all that stuff, that's the entire NAFO network.
Oh, God.
And all of the UK media, the European Union NGOs, all the election tampering that we saw going on in Romania, all of that stuff. It's all tied.
Okay, where else do we got to go here? Tron, read that for everybody.
Guys, right there from Boss, I have instructed our Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results and information gained from the presidential election of 2024, people who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for attention to this matter. Can we send Tom Homan and the ICE team over after the census guys are done? Just take care of it real quick. That'd be great.
Exactly.
So if you dig, I would encourage people to dig. What is the law that creates the census? What is it? A congressional statute? How does that statute apply? What is the power of the executive branch to modify the statute by executive fiat? And understand what that means, because the president is going to run across political infighting from his own party, as what some of the rhinos, right? And the Dems, who of course want those illegal voter votes, right? And all the cheating to continue and everything like that. But then there's also some within the deep state of the Republican Party as well that also don't want to change the status quo, because that's their marching orders. So he's going to have to find a way, because he can't get it done politically, can't get it done through legislation. what can he do from the executive side of things and from the law enforcement side of things, which is under executive branch, to get this done?
So MIT data shows 23 million Democrat mail-in voters from 2020 vanished by 2024. The MIT election data says voting collapsed 60% in 2020 to 37% in 2024. A stunning 23-point drop with no corresponding decline in Democrat in-person or election day voting. Republican mail-in participation held flat across the same period. Gee, wonder what happened. Where are those other 25? There was no fraud.
It was clean, dude.
There's no fraud whatsoever.
54 million votes. Completely fictitious. 54 million.
He's the most popular president in history, above Barack Obama and the rest of the guys.
The first black president, and I say that in quotes with laughters around it. Yeah, he's from Kenya, Hawaii, aka Kenya. Yeah.
Oh, what else do we got here? Oh, another thing that just came out I thought was interesting as we get the last couple of things. Home sellers outnumber buyers by 630,000, an extra 30 in the last 2 weeks, guys. As long as you're
I got
taking
some stuff on mortgage rates and bond market's really the bigger story of over oil, but
bond market 30-year mortgage back up to 7%. Letitia James got a criminal referral here for the Federal Housing Finance Administration, bypassing the other ones that they got. So this is insurance fraud is what they're going after, is what he is talking about. This came out on the 25th in case anybody. So there's 2 indictments, one in New York and one in Florida. So he says the Florida one's going to stick. He's not sure about the New York one. The other thing is the whole New Jersey Attorney General they had picked up over there, and we're supposed to get Alina Hobbit, and they kept cycling all the other people over here. The judge appointed one, and then this guy's saying they settled for it, but the Trump administration actually was okay with this particular career individual that has 20 years plus of service for the DOJ and working in New Jersey court system. So they said they were absolutely fine with it, but they did finally settle that going over the New Jersey. So I don't know what this means for our guy out in California. So that's happening here. I don't know where to put this, Mr. Rdoc. I thought this was interesting. Federal court struck down FinCEN's rule forcing title companies to report private financier details on every cash real estate transaction, not because they were suspicious, because the government wanted data. The rule now vacated nationwide, so they don't have to show the info now?
Private financial. Okay, so on every cash related. So if I go to you, so this is the London model. So this is how really drug deals are done. The big dollars.
That's
in London real estate. You just go pay cash for real estate. You don't have to announce the buyer. The law is such that the parties can remain private. You work through attorneys, usually out of Ireland or BVI or someplace like that, or Costa Rica even. Okay, so what this is telling me here, without reading the detail of the case, is that I can go to you, Hulkinator, and say, hey, man, here's $100,000 in cash. And then you, Hulkinator, are going to go deposit that $100,000 cash in your bank. And that nothing has to be certain things don't have to be reported to FinCEN. Right now, there's something called Form 8300 that has to be reported for every transaction over $10,000 of cash received, fiat money received, that then is cumulative over a 12-month period. So it could be one transaction over 10,000 or multiple transactions that add up to 10,000, blah, blah, blah. And suspicious activity gets reported to the U.S. Treasury through the e-file system, and then FinCEN gets this reporting plus other things, so OFAC compliance and things of that nature. All under the BSA law, Bank Secrecy Act, 1946, 49. I can't remember, maybe it was early 50s. That is, and this control of fiat money and secrecy of fiat money is all tied back to Lucky Luciano, all tied back to why Bitcoin and digital money was created and who created it. This is all related.
Let me get it right back into my stories on court. The 8th Circuit has just overturned activist judge ruling upheld ICE mass detention policy for illegal aliens. 2-1 court held that illegal aliens already residing in the U.S. can be detained without bond or removal proceedings. So that's a plus for the exit to get 1 million people out this year. I don't know how they're going to get there, but they're trying it. So that happened today. Over here on the Supreme Court, they're arguing the mail-in ballots with Mississippi over here, saying we got to do the mail-in ballots. And then, they always talk about the day of or the week of and those things. He's all, well, we only got like Labor Day or Election Day, and it's not like Labor Week or anything. They started going over those things and trying to define what the word day means. So it was pretty interesting to see the conversation, and it doesn't look like they're going to win, and the Supreme Court's going to rule against them. No mail-in voting is what it's going to come into on that side. Also, there was a big bill from 2005 where Cox Communication got caught supplying internet to somebody who's using like a Napster type thing and sharing music, and then they tried to sue the internet provider. Well, that was 2005, and today they came out and said, no, sorry, you can't do that. They're not responsible for whatever traffic's going on their network itself. So yeah, good luck. So that got thrown in the trash. So you don't have to worry about your internet provider snooping on you and seeing what you're looking at. So those are good things. Now this is interesting. Everybody remembers Missouri versus Biden over here.
Big.
Yeah, Space Shot, would you read this for everybody?
I would. As Missouri's Attorney General, I sued the Biden regime for brazenly colluding with big tech to silence Missouri families, censoring the truth about COVID, the Hunter Biden laptop, the open border, and the 2020 election. They tried to turn Facebook, X, YouTube, and the rest into their private speech police, labeling dissent, quote, misinformation. I remember that one. While they pushed their narrative on the American people. Today, after years of unrelenting litigation, we deep state, I'm reading this, we deep state into a historic 10-year court-enforceable consent decree. It directly binds the Surgeon General, the CDC, and CISA, no more threats of legal, regulatory, or economic punishment, no more coercion, no more unilateral direction or veto of platform decisions to remove, suppress, deplatform, or algorithmically bury protected speech. Missouri struck first, and Missouri won big. This is the first real operational restraint on the federal censorship machine. It locks in the First Amendment principle we fought for. Modern technology doesn't erase your rights, and government labels don't strip speech for protection. The deep state just got checked. For every working Missouri family tired of being silenced by their own government, this victory is yours. The Heartland fought back, and the Heartland delivered. Boom.
So supposedly they got their answer they were looking for finally out of the Supreme Court, that you can't do all that stuff and push social media companies to censor the general public. We'll see how long this stands. So
And use that information to spy on the general. Oh no, wait,
they're still going to do that. They're still going to do that.
That's fine.
And that ties into Lucky Luciano and Graves too.
Yeah.
Bugsy Seagal.
Yeah. Now, you can read this one, Mr. Space Shot. Read the tagline.
Jury has found Meta and Google liable in a landmark social media addiction case, awarding $3 million in damages. Ooh, wow.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. A teenage girl says, I was addicted to it, and they pushed forward on there, showed evidence, and all the stuff that we had talked about, how social media is addictive, and the things that they do behind there to get people up, like they did on Instagram that Mr. What's his name got caught doing. So they got awarded $3 million, and there's going to be so many more coming, guys. So protection. This is interesting that they got awarded damages. So and she, I think she's 18 or 19 now. So this just happened in the last 5 years. So that's
like,
going on.
That's like me and you getting fined a penny. Like $3 million for big corporations. Like, okay. Meta's laid off around 700 employees across teams, including Reality Labs, recruiting, sales, and social products. One day earlier, Meta introduced a new stock option program for 6 top executives, deliver up to $921 million in additional compensation per executive over 5 years. There
you go. Read this one for everybody.
We're saying goodbye to the Sora app. Thank God. To everyone who created Sora, shared it, and built community around it, thank you. What you made with Sora mattered, and we know this news is disappointing. We'll share more soon, including timelines for the app and API and details on preserving your work, the Sora team. It sucked. Sorry.
So the product from OpenAI was pushing out to get this out there, a social media push to go ahead and use their particular product, so later they could charge you for it. So they made that whole deal with Soya and the Disney Corporation for $100 billion that they paid, so they can use their intellectual property and stuff. And Disney had a meeting with them in the morning, and they're talking about the direction they're going with Sora and OpenAI and the whole roadmap. And then 30 minutes later, they get blindsided, said that we dropped all support for this. And they just had a meeting 30 minutes before with Disney. So yeah, it's not looking good for OpenAI here at this point. They are not building any of their data centers, and they're going to rent all their stuff, which is going to be really super expensive for them. So it doesn't look very good, and hopefully RAM prices will get that back down to normal. Yeah, Disney's $1 billion OpenAI deal is dead as Sora shuts down. So yeah, $1 billion they threw in there, not that much, but that was interesting to see that come together on that side. So now the other thing is Elon Musk announced that he's doing his chip fab down there in Texas, because in 3 to 4 years, the expansion with TSMC and with Samsung is not going to be enough to feed his company by himself. So that's pretty impressive that he thinks he's going to need that much, and he's building 2 different lines at the same time. So he's accelerating his plan. Remember, Optimus just came out, so they're busting those things out as fast as they can get them out the door as it's going on. Texas is starting to run out of water for all the stuff that they're doing down there for the plants, the refining, the data centers. They have a huge water running problem right now in the local areas. They're not sure exactly what's going on over there. So that was on that side. Is there any little piece? We want to get into weather really quick. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to, but Hawaii just got schwacked. Southern California had a really long heat wave over the last week and a half or so. It was actually pretty damn bad. We're also going in for the Godzilla warning for the Pacific over here. We already have the warming out there, and it's extremely large, giving issues in Australia and everybody else that's associated being next to this big blob, which means it's going to affect California here as we get into the end of the summer. So we'll get the full-on Pineapple Express coming in, and this affects weather all the way around the world. If you weren't paying attention, Hawaii got whacked with their biggest floods that they've seen in the last 20 years. So a lot of the major islands and stuff got wiped out, and there's some bad things going along with them between Maui and Hawaii itself. What else was going on out there? Large wildland fires going across Nebraska and over to the Dakota areas themselves. We do have people bringing in hay bales to keep the animals fed in the areas that are affected. So America is backing itself up. Going back over to there. The California snowmelt we had just talked about, because the weather got really, really hot. They had to close a lot of the local resorts that would supply entertainment for the skiers out there. And it's having an issue with a lot of the water flow coming back into California, because that snowmelt it's gone already, all of it, from that huge storm we had like a month ago. So yeah, snowpack has melted away out there. And this was interesting here. This made a quick little stop over here we want to get to. Google just dropped an expression algorithm that makes AI 8 times faster by using 6 times less memory with 0 accuracy loss. So they have a new computer program. They're going to come out, and that basically kicked RAM prices in the nuts a little bit less. So we'll see if this particular technology is going to be able to be scaled across multiple systems to make RAM less dependent for the AI systems. So that's where I'm going to end it right here, Mr. Rdoc. You can see RAM prices dropping, but it's still as expensive as hell. That's all I got. That's all I want to talk about.
Marshall!
Talk about.
I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, we do have to do the whatever commercial we could dig out. Let's see if it comes up.
Well, funny, I got a Rumble wallet. All I ever seen.
I have to do a quick refresh on this thing. It's locking up. Yep, that's fine with me. We'll do the Rumble wallet, clicking the button here, hitting accept, and...
Break for 30 seconds.
Break for 30 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's a little inside scoop that many creators are talking about behind the scenes. It's actually one of the reasons I'm using Rumble. They made a way to super chat creators so we get paid immediately and without any fees. YouTube and Twitch take up to 50% of the fees when you tip creators, and this method takes none. That's right, the platform takes 0 fees. I keep 100% of what you send me. You can super chat with Bitcoin, Tether, USD, or even Tether Gold stablecoins, and the tip will show up directly on the Rumble chat, which I will do my best to read. All you need to do is download the Rumble wallet on the App Store and then send the tips to your favorite creators. You can head over to wallet.rumble.com, or you can download the app directly from the app stores. Seriously, what an amazing way to get rid of the middleman and help the creator economy. Big shout out to Rumble for making this disruptive technology available.
Break for 30 seconds.
Find Rdoc's here. Upper regime.
I'm pulling it out right now.
I haven't watched any of these yet, so we're not going to start with them. I just have it on that page.
All right, I got it.
Ready?
You good, Tron? I think Tron's ready.
Make sure we get the sound.
Here we go. Here we go. All right, we're going to start really quick here. So there was this video that came out today where, and I want to freeze it like right at the very beginning, okay? What eye is he squinting with? Shooters, you will know the issue.
I can't tell.
Dude, he's probably this crazy son of a bitch trying to load this thing right now? This crazy
Wait, I heard
load this?
I heard that he blindfolded him with dental floss.
Well, okay. No, but he's looking down the scope, but he's got this eye closed, is what I can see. I mean, that's what I was trying to understand. It kind of really don't get a good view. But yeah, this is this weapon is usually used in the field with a much longer barrel and it's used for sniper purposes. But yeah. All right. So Belarus is meeting with Kim. Now, Lukashenko also met with the Trump administration earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week. So interesting. So yeah, gifts of war, whatever. Let's share some stuff. All right. Epstein file search. You talked about that. I don't know if you went into this detail because I was busy doing some other stuff here.
Yeah, that was the diplomat. Yep. From the bank.
Okay, so this is Fabrice Aiden transferred UN Security Council briefings to Epstein. Classified international intelligence. It's state secrets. But did you go into some of these little comments down below? Because this is where...
No, just that they raided the bank.
So if you look at some of the detail, 2018, this is Jagland. This is the guy we've talked about, the former prime minister of Norway. And, Cherkin was great, understood Trump after our conversation. It's not complex. He must be seen to get something. It's that simple. I met Lavrov's assistant on Monday. I think you might suggest to Putin, So they're passing Epstein and Jagland and Norway and Lavrov. They're all having these conversations. And if so what is this type of guy, like a Luciano type of guy, tied in with Maxwell, tied in with Mossad, tied in with the Jewish mafia? What's he doing? This is what the question is that you should be looking at and digging at and digging into. This comment here too was also just some. This has been going on. Advanced search monarch in the CIA files, which you can do in the open source FOIA CIA files that are out there on the website. And it ties to blackmail of monarchs in the Middle East. And so, well, what monarchs in the Middle East? What monarchs are we talking about? We're talking about the Saudi family. We're talking about the family that is dictator of Bahrain. We're talking about the Mohammed bin Zayed and his whole family of the Emiratis. Actually, there's multiple emirates and multiple little princes and monarchies in the Emirates. We're talking about all of these monarchies of these moderate Arab states and so on and so forth. And, the comment is this is CIA slop for the 1900s being regurgitated into now. Well, CIA didn't exist until 40. Well, if you look at the dates, it kind of popped into existence officially in 49. But prior to that, it was the Galen Group working with in under the military kind of thing. All right, CIA sex squad. This is an old article in the newspaper from 2011. It looks like, talking about some of the detail. And there's another drop from, the CIA, Bill Burns, director, Amy Cassell, talking with Peter Thiel. Why was Thiel having meetings? So then we loop in, Palantir. We loop in the money systems that these guys created. The PayPals, where Musk, you guys got to remember, Musk is tied. All of this is related, guys. And look, somebody even looks like they dropped a Q post. Look at that. Okay. So anyway, this was just really entertaining to go through when you dropped it earlier, so I want to do that. Now, the original post here, which talked about this situation as well, isn't available because it's banned here in Europe, but you guys might be able to see it on the link if you wanted to look. We can drop it for you. But Ariana de Rothschild and Kathy Rumler. Okay, so the ties between Rumler and her are important, and they basically are talking about, hey, this is all related to child sex and her involvement in the child sex matters and the pedophilia, which then ties into how the European elite are blackmailed. Okay, and this goes down the rabbit hole really, really, really fast. All right, you talked about Missouri versus Biden. Okay, that's great. Don't need to do that. Okay, I wanted to bring this up. Okay, this deal originally was created to kind of go after Pelosi. Remember Paul Pelosi and all the stock trackers? That's where this thing kind of popped into existence, talking about. But when you really, they're going after everybody now, it looks like. And they picked up on this guy. And so if you don't have this on your little bingo card, add this little piece of information in there and go dig on it. Michael Obadal was Anduril's senior director before President Trump nominated him for Undersecretary of the Army. Disclosed up to $500,000 in Anduril stock he kept. He wasn't required to sell it, even though he's now in his position. So there's a potential conflict of interest, right? This is all part of constitutional requirements. 6 months later, Army awarded Anduril $20 billion contract. Surprise! Okay, this ties into Lucky Luciano. The corruption of the military began around 41. Remember the Q post, Tron? Trust the military? Trust Pompeo? Trust all these other people? Trust the military.
It's Kansas, and it's not necessarily Pompeo.
Oh, trust Kansas.
Yeah, we can go down. Wizard of Oz as well. Go ahead.
Right. So add this one to your little data point list there and go dig on it, because trust the military. What you're going to find is that the military got corrupted around the in the middle of World War II. Okay, maybe before that. We can talk about the Russell stuff and all that jazz. But this is something. What it is, you go dig on it. Okay, these people are making conclusions. It's something, the smoke. Is there fire? We don't know. There could be some rationale here. However, or is it just more military-industrial complex contract and corruption of that whole process, and so on and so forth? So, who has follow the wives, follow the money, follow all that jazz? Okay, great. All right. So it's not just about the price of oil. It's also about the bond market. And some people are watching very closely the bond market and what's going on with U.S. Treasuries. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. What the summary that I will leave here is that foreign powers and foreign state sovereigns, they buy our treasuries to manage and offset their holdings in U.S. dollars because of the trade requirements to be traded in U.S. dollars, right? And so the U.S. treasuries are a way of providing them on a regular recurring interest payments in U.S. dollars, and they can sell treasuries off if they need to get U.S. dollars in order to settle their imbalances on trade and yada, yada, yada. All right. So that means that our U.S. government borrowing is propped up in large part because of foreign sovereign countries buying our debt, which then in turn is supported by mercantilism, trade, right? Well, as trade changes and settled in different currencies or this and that, it can affect the US dollar's value against other foreign currencies. That can then affect the value of holding US Treasury assets. Okay. And as you have to renew those treasuries each and every year, you have to pay higher and higher discounts or higher and higher interest coupons on those treasuries, which adds to our national debt. And that's what this story is going by, is essentially that our total assets to total liabilities. Well, this is not new. We've been covering this. We've been covering our total assets to our total liabilities has been underwater for years. We've been in a situation where we've talked about like 120 to 130% ratioed that over where we should be, which usually results in a credit rating decrease by Fitch and all these guys. All right. This issue, however, is getting attention by a lot of people because if we do escalate into more of a conflict, especially with China and others, they have, and if you remember, Clancy wrote about this in his book, and he kind of had, there's been studies on this. There's been a lot of intelligence work done on this. These foreign powers can dump their debt and crash our dollar, and this can be disastrous for our economy depending on where we're at. Or it can also have the flip side of, okay, well, you're holding worthless assets, so good luck. So mutually assured economic destruction is the phrase I'll use. You want to go ahead and destroy the global economy and destroy yours, trying to attack us? Yeah, you are mixed in with us is kind of the goal we have in terms of how this thing works. You get so ingrained and intertangled, you can't divorce each other. That's kind of the way the theory is. So this issue, however, is coming to a head because in the last 2 years, we've added a huge amount to the debt. Every president has done it in the last 40 years. In the last 8 presidents, though, the spike has just gone through the roof. And this administration is no different. We're $38 million debt crisis, okay? This is where really, when you look at the economy and some of the things that Donald Trump needs to do in order to make our country great again, the oil and the food as raw inputs into our inflation affects our daily pocketbooks, but it affects every other additive supply chain all the way up the chain. Trucks got to have fuel to transport stuff. Transportation costs rise. The cost of everything that's transported rises. Aviation fuel rises. This is a reality that not just affects the United States, it affects the world. Okay. And so it's kind of like a race to who's going to crack first. You know, Star Wars, SDI, had the race for competition of spending dollars to get to space, right? Same concept, but it's because it all comes back to economic strength as national security. So pay attention, keep an eye on both the bond market and what's going on with interest rates in our own country. Stock market is a symptom. Oil prices are an input. Bond market is a funding key necessity for the stability of our dollar and our ability to raise capital. That's the way I'll leave it. Okay, moving on. We covered the housing market. Okay. We talked about the Brendan Carr story, and so Hulk and I chit-chatted about this earlier in the week. So they did. They issued their ruling, and basically the ruling says that, okay, effective, actually the other day, or effective March 26th, yeah. Anybody making a router, so those things you put in your house to do Wi-Fi, if you got Cox cable or whatever, those routers can no longer be made by a foreign company. Those aftermarket routers, whatever, no more foreign companies. Well, so what does that mean if you are, which companies are banned and whatnot? And I think the answer was available on their website. I don't know if
TP-Link, what else you got? You got
everybody. It's everybody.
Well, those are the main ones that were pointing at Cisco, but TP-Link being big controller of Chinese stuff. So if you have a TP-Link router, you should throw it in the trash.
Yeah. So basically, the rule is now that every foreign router manufacturer banned. Okay, can't be sold in the United States or whatever. However, you got to go through a waiver process. So you got to go
It's
and
consumer
apply.
grade.
Yeah. It's consumer grade, 100%. And this is, they're not wrong. He's not wrong in terms of foreign hardware, and you trying to use, because we did it to them. We do it to them. They do it to us. Okay. This is the other thing I want to
wait. I just want to say I recommend Ubiquiti. They make
that's
Ubiquiti is the one I use. Yeah, they're really good.
That's the UK. Ubiquiti
Australia
is big.
They're Australia company, but they make
big here in Europe.
They make huge stuff for the backbones and stuff like that. They make consumer grade stuff you could buy.
I would not trust Ubiquiti either. All of them. Basically, what they're trying to do is get you to get into the platform that is a U.S. manufacturer platform, and though that's going to have the technology that allows the U.S. to spy on its own people, even though we might farm it out to a data center out of the country. Okay, moving on. All right, this is another big news story affecting Hulkinator, right? Space Shot.
Oh man, I have to stop my OnlyFeeds account now. Dude, what am I going to do now? I've been exposed. My Russian boyfriend died.
Leonid Radvinsky, billionaire owner of OnlyFans, and I know somebody that knows him personally, has died at the age of 43. 43 due to cancer. Wow. Ukrainian-born Jewish, emigrated to the U.S. as a child. He became the largest donor to AIPAC in 2024. AIPAC, ADL, Anti-Defamation League. Where did that come from? Do your digging. You'll tie it back to the Lucky Luciano story. Okay. Pledging $11 million to the Israeli lobby. Okay. So he's dead. Interesting development, and what this technology and how it influenced young women across this country and the West is not by chance, no coincidences. This was interesting. I just picked this up, not because of anything other than the fact that it is one of those videos that shows how the messaging is consistent. And whether it's left or right, it doesn't matter, right? L or R, no differences. The manipulation in the Mockingbird media is the manipulation in the Mockingbird media. And who it's working for and what agenda they serve, that's why you got to dig and stay at top of things. Higher food and gas prices are worth it to make sure Iran doesn't get nukes. What? Wait, what? They're trying to gaslight you to justify the war. Hey, this is what they did in Europe. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we need to give up austerity. We need to give up our pension money. It's okay to have high gas prices and everything after sanctions. Okay, it's worth it. It's worth it. Suffer a little bit. Meanwhile, the elites don't suffer ever. They don't live in this reality. And the politicians that make these laws that make this suffering happen at the common man level, they don't give a shit. And so this gaslighting, hey, it's okay to pay $6, $7, $10 at the gas pump. It's okay to have to pay more food prices because the food industry has been monopolized, and they're going to pass the buck on to you. And well, let's see. Donald Trump may have a plan. There's sometimes you got to trick somebody into the noose before you can hang them. And big pharma with the medicines, which prices will increase, big food with the Monsantos, big tech, everything big potentially is walking into a noose. And this may be a pain, right? We never promised you a rose garden. We might have to endure pain. As a matter of fact, I think it says that in the Q post, right? Anyway, interesting local story here, and this is just one of three. This is Elbit Systems, was a military facility doing stuff for the war in Ukraine, and they were getting lots of money funneled to them, went up in flames, and a couple of other ones went up in flames as well. So that was interesting. All right, now we get into the funny stuff, and I picked this one up, but I'm not even sure I'm going to play it. It's funny, but it's like a little long, and it's not even worth it. All right, moving on. I haven't listened to this one, so we'll do the funny, and then we'll get into the hard stuff. Let's just do this. What the heck? I don't know what it's going to be.
How can we learn to appreciate the blessings that surround us? Vladimir Putin here with new episode of Me and She's Wellness Podcast, This Authoritarian Life. You know, She, in this crazy modern existence, I think we are losing something important. The rituals that give us a sense of community and belonging? Gratitude. Radical gratitude. Oh, you don't have to say this to me in public, Vladimir. Shh, shh, shh. Do you hear it? Why are you making that sound? It's sound of universe whispering gifts to us. Are you having a stroke? Listen, She, a month ago I was in a bad place, running out of money, lots of new sanctions, no progress in Ukraine, not even new Taylor Swift tour to look forward to. You were really spiraling. But then they started the war on Iran. Right. Oil prices went up, boom. They loosened sanctions, boom. I'm getting rich again. And nobody's talking about Ukraine anymore. Dude, they even took weapons from Ukraine and sent them to Middle East. They also took from South Korea. And craziest part is I did nothing myself to make any of this happen. Just manifesting.
God, okay, I didn't watch that one beforehand. How relevant is that as we get into this stuff? Wow, these guys are funny. It's absurdity. Whether you agree with the politics or not, it's absurdity, and I don't know, whatever. Okay. All right, let's get into it. So the first topic we're going to get into is some Iran war fighting. We're going to do some background and some backup stuff we didn't cover last week. So we had F-35s getting hit, and whether it crashed and they did a search pattern for it in Saudi Arabia, or whether it landed safely, the pilot was injured, had shrapnel injuries, actually now we have learned. And this where the strike took place and where the hit took place belies the fact that Iranians have air defense still. And it has now been come back that the type of air defense that was used was not a Russian S-400. It was not in a certain area that people were thinking it was, and belies the fact that there may be mobile, more advanced weapon systems that I don't have time to get into today. I don't think so. F-35 hit by Iranian fire. Air superiority is over. This is back last week. Yeah, the same thing. Incidents under investigation said the deal. Captain Tim Hawkins, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so okay, missiles. We've destroyed 100%. They're totally. There's just surrender already, damn it. Just give it up. Just give it. Okay. Iran has reached a low but stable level. This came out back on March 16th, and it hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, it's increased. And so, yeah, they did some initial launches as everybody was boom, 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 boom. And then it just became steady. Boom, 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 boom. And then it started increasing, actually. So in the last week, this is an updated version. There are some more updates. And this is OSINT warfare. This is more of a I wouldn't call them a pro-Ukrainian site. They have been fairly fair, but they're definitely not pro-Russian or pro-Iranian. Last week, we also got this little tidbit where Trump was saying, it's a little unfair that they're fighting back. Why are they fighting? They still don't have a right to do that anymore. And I picked up that clip because it's like, doesn't make any sense. And doesn't matter whether you love them or hate them. It's like, boss, what are you saying here? There could be code, there could be other stuff, I don't know, but this particular deal got picked up by a lot of folks, and there's Susie Wells sitting next to him, looking at him with the eye. Yeah, you sticking to the script. All right, moving on. the breaking emergency landing. So the KC-135s that were hit. So there were 2 hit in flight, 3 hit on the ground, total 5. There have been additional damage on the ground since that time. We had the fire on the U.S. aircraft carrier that raged for hours. We have an update on that actually that came out this past week, and the ship is going to be. Matter of fact, I have it somewhere here. Maybe it's the next story here. No, it's not. I've got an update on that in the stack somewhere. Fire in U.S. aircraft carrier raged for hours. Okay, moving on. And they ended up going somewhere in Crete. So they took the ship out of service and took it out. The fire damage was more extensive, bottom line, and it's going to be a lot longer to take to repair it. Okay, so this is the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. This is the very first attack that happened that day, and we had the C-Rams and other air defenses that were trying to shoot down these drones and some missiles, and this was the first attack. There have been subsequent attacks and subsequent drones flying over the embassy, and our troops and our embassy staff have since been evacuated, and only Erbil is occupied. And it's interesting who's occupying it. We'll get to that in a second. If you don't, Erbil's in the north of Iraq. That's Iraq, by the way. This is some other stuff that we've talked about verbally, but I just want to show you the pictures. You know, the damage that has been done to our air defense systems that we have put in place around the entire region has been extensive. We're talking billions of dollars, and this is just some examples. We're not talking about this is a long investment process that we made with these monarchies and these moderate Arab states since the end of World War II. And under the pretense that we will come in and protect you if something happens, et cetera, et cetera. And this has been destroyed. It will have to be rebuilt at some point in time. It will cost billions of dollars, which is going to be great for that military-industrial complex, right? And this is the FPV drone. So this caught people by surprise. This was also last week. Another one has happened this week, where this drone is just flying over our air base in Baghdad. This is Base Victory near Baghdad International Airport, and they're just flying over, no problem, no shoot downs, no attempts to shoot it down, etc. And we now understand this is a fiber optic drone. And it's most likely being run by militia, Shia militia, in support of the Iranians. And if you understand Baghdad in the south, of Iraq, in the south area of Iraq, close to the ports, close near the Gulf, and close to the southern area, high Shia majority. Okay, and then Baghdad is a big mix, and then up in the north there are some other populations. And then, so the Sunni Shia mix is an important factor in Iraq to understand it. And the fact what has happened to our troops there and how this is even able to happen over our air base. And the fact that he took out a Apache helicopter this week. This is the same one from back then. We don't need to go into detail. This is some new information that came out. This is just general war fighting and what's going on in general, kind of interesting things other than just the normal missile bombing and attacking stuff that you're seeing on the news every night. And Hulkinator, why I always call you Trump, dropped this one, which was kind of interesting. So tuna cans have been dropped in air, kind of like airlift style, and people are finding this stuff and I guess picking them up and eating the stuff in some sort of canned fish, and it's specifically in the Fars province, and some Basij and security forces, IRGC, etc. I don't know, have picked these cans up, and evidently they've got explosives in there. That goes along with a story that also came out this week of Russian insoles for boots that were ordered and came from Israel by way of Poland to Russian supply officers, military, and the FSB finished conducting an investigation because upon entry into the border, they found these insoles contained explosives, and these, like foot insoles, like you put in a shoe, a little thin layer of explosives designed to maim a soldier, take his foot off, etc. If once the soldier puts his foot in the boot and applies pressure. And so this type of anti-personnel type device that's generally dropped is in violation of international rules of war, Geneva, UN bans on types of stuff like this. This is similar to the pedals, the little pedals that were dropped all over the streets for little kids to pick up, because anybody can pick this up and be killed. So they're designed to kill mass civilian casualties, not just soldiers. They're not directed military. And the fact is that they're coming from Israeli airdrops is what's being announced. Reports that Iran claimed that dozens of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps soldiers were killed in Shiraz after opening canned fish. Okay, so that's the story. Same story. We had also just yesterday, I believe this is March 25th. So yesterday for you guys. This is the video. We'll just go ahead and play it. If there's any sound, there's no sound. So this is, we'll start from the beginning again. We'll make it bigger. And just let it play out. Another angle. Now the guy loses the camera. So this aircraft is believed to have continued flying. And so I do not have confirmation of a crash site. I don't know, maybe somebody in the chat has updated it because I haven't followed it today because I was following other information. But this is an F-18, and this has been verified now by multiple different sources, etc. This would make the 23rd aircraft, U.S. aircraft, destroyed. 23, we haven't heard about 23 Rdoc. Yeah, you haven't. Okay, there's and then there's some Israeli aircraft as well, including an F-16, a helicopter, and some other things that have been hit. So this is some of the realities that are happening that you guys may not be getting through U.S. media because it's not deemed appropriate for our cause, whatever you want to call that. This broke this week as well in response to something, and then it's been noted. Take it for what you will. This is Al Jazeera and everybody else are saying no, Iraq did not do this. However, what has happened in Iraq? So the story is that Iraq declared that their entry inside the war alongside Iran. Okay, well, no, they didn't do that. But what they do have is an agreement with Iran that they will not be attacking Iran. This is an official government declaration. But what has happened is that the Iraqis have demanded that the U.S. leave bases, and they have, and they exited and went into Jordan en masse and other places. Erbil is the only base where we have troops still stationed at the present time. We have evacuated other locations and are moving personnel out. It's still ongoing. Okay. So after 23 years, I think it's 23 years, U.S. troops are finally leaving Iraq, basically, but they're still in Erbil.
Get them out of every one of them. Every one of those bases.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring them all back home. Was it George Carlin that said that? Bring all our soldiers home, line them up on the northern southern border, and say, "Sorry, everybody of the world, you're good. We don't need to mess with anybody else."
Yep. And so the Iraqi militias, basically, and these are the Shia militias, and they're armed. These guys are armed, full with their 24-hour ceasefire to allow full withdrawal U.S. NATO troops. And this is back on the 23rd. It's been ongoing since then. I'm not going to go into this Macron deal I just saw there. Screw that. All right. Erdogan, however, did have some interesting comments earlier on, and this is back on March 24, and I think it's not in English. Yeah, it's in Turkish. Okay, basically, he goes on to talk about this war in general, makes several comments that Iran needs to stop attacking its neighbors, etc. It's bad for the entire region. It's bad for the entire globe. But he also says is that although the war is Israel's war, the whole world is paying the price. Now, Israel. Then continuing on, the war is Netanyahu's war for political survival, but 8 billion people are suffering the consequences. Now, is he wrong? Is he right? Does he have an agenda for saying this? Yes, yes, and yes. He has an agenda because very prominent elite Israeli, both military and politicians, have called for attention to be directed towards him, calls for Turkey to be pulled out of NATO, and they are very, very important to our ability to house our troops in Sirklik. The whole issue of Turkey's participation in NATO goes back pre-World War II, and the ability for Western democracies, if you'll call us that, have the ability to defend and project power in a global sphere. Okay, so is Netanyahu's war for political survival? Yes. How many times, every time there is the legal case came up against him, go kill more people in Gaza, go hit Lebanon, go shoot a missile into Syria. Anytime the U.S. may be getting close to making negotiations for peace, Israel goes and acts. Okay. The Netanyahu's ability to stay in power for his 40 years, dream of destabilizing all other potential risks to the state of Israel in the region, because that's the goal, is something that Erdogan knows. Erdogan is a threat to him. He's a Muslim democracy, if you will, even though and a member of NATO, makes it very difficult. He has his own eyes on a caliphate that is in competition with the Iranian dream of a caliphate. Okay, so Erdogan is an enemy of Israel, even though the two of them are friends and they work together in Syria. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So very interesting comment that came out of him, and he is one of the negotiators with Iran. He has offered, along with the UK, along with Pakistan, along with Oman, not so much now, to broker and host and to be message carriers between Iran and the U.S., because Iran and the U.S. are not talking to each other directly. They're intermediaries passing notes at best right now. We'll get into that in a second. This is Bashir, and this is back on the 23rd. So this is a couple days ago now. And this, I think, is the second attack. This is a very, very important key location to focus on. And it is located along the coast in the Persian Gulf on the Iranian coast. And it is the nuclear power plant that the Russians are building. Phase 2 is months away from completion. And Israel, for our benefit, hit it. Ukrainians are working with the Israelis, and there are about 2,000 of them in region that are expected to be the fall guys to take this plant, to basically go in, occupy it, destroy it, die, whatever the case is, but they're the guinea pigs to go in and take this plant. Why? Because the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant that's in Russia's possession and control and has been since 2022 in Zaporozhye, Ukraine, they want it back. And they think that they can do a tit-for-tat trade is kind of the scuttlebutt that's going on behind the scenes here. And we're like, okay, you can do it. But we have plausible deniability, hands off. Wasn't us, it was Israel. Israel made the deal with Ukraine, and it wasn't even Israel, it was Ukraine. We told them not to. so so they bombed this nuclear facility and hit some key aspects of it. And the Russians had just passed, and they knew this was coming. They just passed in the Duma a law that gave Putin the ability to deploy troops to any foreign country where Russians are at, where they're coming under attack, or Russian assets are under attack. That means that he can deploy Russian troops to this asset, which is controlled by Russia, for the future benefit of Iran. I say future benefit of Iran because this is an economic deal that they made with Iran to build this plant, to operate this plant, to get funds from this plant, and to sell electricity to Iran. It's one of those types of deals. And so there are like 400 Russian citizens, engineers, and other folks that are building this plant. They're like a month away from phase 2 being completed. And the fact that it's being attacked, even though they've had a conversation between Putin and Trump saying, don't touch this, don't do this. We have Russian troops here and at Natanz, not troops, engineers. The Israelis are like, we did it. We'll do it anyway. Okay. And the U.S. knows about it. We know about it. And so there's a real risk here that if there is your nuclear material on this facility, it is a functioning nuclear power plant on phase 1. And there's potentially 72 tons of nuclear fuel and more than 200 tons of spent elements and in these pools. And if these pools are allowed to enter the Persian Gulf, it creates a incident. Okay, moving on. This is the evidence of some of the types of bombing that we're doing. I don't know if you've seen this one. I'll just play it really quick again. Oops, hold on. There we go. There we go. Good. Look at the blast wave. Okay, that's a pretty big blast wave. Okay, stopping that one. Okay, this, however, is not so cool. We'll leave it at that. Okay, so let's start over from the beginning. Oops. Play.
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن
This is the same video.
يا فاطمة الزهرا كمكم كن كمكم كن
She's dying. She's been hit.
يا فاطمة الزهرا اللهم صل على محمد.
Second strike. Okay, she dies. Okay, very sad video for anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. It's just very sad. Just some woman walking the street doing her daily shopping, picking up bread, whatever the hell she was doing, and she's dead. Now, what am I trying to convey here? War's bad. It's just bad. Human beings are suffering in war. Doesn't matter whether you're Jewish, Christian, or Muslim. Okay, and or anything in between. Okay, the issue here that I want to convey and what the Iranians are saying to the world is that Israeli bombings are indiscriminate. You know, we post out stuff where our military is doing great, 6,000, 10,000. We're hitting all these targets. U.S. strikes, very accurate. Throw the school in there and talk about that another time. But in general, we are very accurate in our strikes. We know what we're striking. We have good strikes. Israelis don't do that. They aren't necessarily concerned with only military leaders. If we take Gaza as a case in point, or Lebanon, what's happening in Lebanon, it's more about mass destruction, indiscriminate bombing. It's called indiscriminate targeting. There may be a target in this building, but you may take out 200 people to get to one, or 1,000 people to get to 5. You know, and there's actually a comedian that does a joke about this stuff, but it's not a joke. It's the way they think. It's the way they do things. It's you go to fight an enemy, you go to kill an enemy. You don't go to negotiate to peace with an enemy. So Natanz came up as an issue because this is a nuclear facility, and this led to some of what Donald Trump was saying about the 48-hour deal. So Iran, the story by The Guardian talks about Iran hits Israel town near nuclear facility because why? Because it's retaliation for the Natanz strike. Well, what's really going on? Well, they hit Natanz. They hit Bashar a day or two before Natanz, and so the Iranians know where Israel has its nuclear weapons program in Dimona, in near the southern Negev of Israel, and there is a town nearby where the engineers live. And they know all of this, and so they didn't hit Dimona directly because they know what that would do. That would cause a nuclear incident, and we would be in escalation directly into more tit-for-tat nuclear exchanges. They hit the engineers, just like the Israelis really didn't. Well, they destroyed a lot of stuff, but Natanz has supposedly been obliterated during the 12-day war, and it was. The enrichment facilities are not back up and running. It's defunct. But there are still engineers there, and they're Russian engineers. And so the Israelis whacked them, and so the Iranians whacked the Israeli and other foreign engineers. They're in Dimona. So that's what was going on. But they were smart enough not to hit Dimona nuclear facility directly. It's actually a little southwest of where this Dimona town is, which I've been through. And they know what's there, and they said, okay, we'll hit there next. Okay, so understand that. This is the Israeli strike in Dimona, just a video. Okay, moving on. Any questions so far from the panel? While I take a quick drink. I'm not going to go into detail on this one. This is from last week as well. All right, last week I had a whole section to talk about the causes and all that jazz. It doesn't matter the causes, really, when you get down to it, because we're here. It's popcorn time. The UK National Security Advisor gets in there and says, hey, I saw and I was aware of the diplomatic exchange and what the Omani diplomats were saying, and there was an obvious miscommunication. Somebody didn't understand something, and this is the fault of Jared Kushner, Witkoff. The Iranians are also echoing that this week in all this scuttlebutt that's been going on about negotiations. But this is what this UK guy was talking about, and not just any UK guy, the National Security Advisor was talking about last week. And that this miscommunication or misunderstanding or intentional or not intentional, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter, that this could have caused the opportunity for misunderstanding to occur and start this thing. All right, whatever. Democratic senators grilling Tulsi Gabbard and what she said and whatnot, that's all available out there last week, but she does say some things about what the Israeli goals are and how they differ from the U.S. You need to go talk to Israel. Do you know if Israel's goals are, supportive of the president's goal to make a deal? Gabbard, I don't know. And that's a true statement. If you went on to continue to ask the question, is our assessment that Israel may be trying to make interfere with the president's goals, she might have been able to answer him, but more likely only in a closed door setting, because now that gets into classified information about Israeli programs that are sensitive, very sensitive. All right, moving on though. So
she did say, Rdoc, though, that their goals are different. USA and Israel
very different. Very different. Now, this is still in the war cause. Okay. So this is a statement that came out of the UK National Security Advisor. We regard Witkoff and Kushner as Israeli assets that drag the president into war he wants to get out of. That's what this UK National Security Advisor said. Yeah, it may be a little stretch. Are they Jewish? Yes. Is there commonality among a Jewish way of thinking and their culture? that could say we are in supportive of our Jewish identity? Yes. Does that mean every Jew is some sort of a secret spy asset that's working in the deep state mafia to take? No, absolutely not. And anybody that tells you that shouldn't. Is Laura Loomer one? I don't know, and I don't care. Laura Loomer is irrelevant, and you should not let her influence you. Same way you shouldn't let Mark Levin influence you. Same way you shouldn't allow me to influence you. You go dig yourself. Go dig. All right. Yeah, Trump rejects Putin plan to move uranium. So this was just talking about how there could have been an avoidance or whatever, and I have no idea if that's a mushroom or what that is, but I'm moving on. Okay. This is talking about global oil supply and what's going on there. We'll move along to that. So last week, I was going to cover this. Ducey, you said they hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain. This is the initial strike back after we in Israel did our thing. Are you surprised that nobody briefed you ahead of time on what might be the retaliation? Now, that's an interesting question. Nobody briefed him, and Trump said nobody. No. The greatest experts, nobody thought they were going to hit. Bullshit. And because that is absolutely 100% false, because we have scenarios and wargaming just for this, and we have lots of plans how to have resources in the area to do this. So his statement there got him in trouble, or it's indicative of that somebody that should have been there telling him this wasn't, or maybe somebody told him or tried to tell him but wasn't allowed to. Okay, but the fact is, nobody, the greatest experts, it's 100% not correct. Okay, and that's when you hear these statements come out, then you have to understand. You have to go dig. You have to go dig yourself. You can't take the media's words for it. You can't take the president's words for it. You can't take a True Social Post's words for it, because there are forces at work that have to provide misinformation sometimes, and have to provide move and counter move. That the only way you can get a sense of this picture is if you dig, meme, and pray. So this is an area of point that should make you say, I got to go dig. That's the only thing you can take from it. I got to go dig. So what did happen is we got back and forth. The South Pars field got hit, the biggest LNG. We've talked about this. And then the Iranians responded and knocked the hell out of the oil production facilities, gas facilities, LNG facilities from Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, all the way. And they've been focusing on Israel lately, in Haifa and so on and so forth. And this is Haifa last week, ballistic missile. Oh, but all the ballistic missiles have been destroyed. 90%, 58%, I don't know, whatever. We don't even know where some of these underground missile cities, and that's what they're called, our military intelligence and our intelligence agencies, we acknowledge that we don't know where all of these facilities are. Even Jake Sullivan admitted this on that damn Daily Show podcast, or whatever the hell that thing is he's got. Okay, we don't know what is in this northeastern area of Iran, and where they've been building all these underground missile cities and stuff, and the launchers they still have available, the missiles they still have available. We want them to show us. We want them to use them, and that could be a rationale for saying they're totally obliterated, they're gone, they're destroyed, because it's a way of trolling them. It's a way of saying you're worthless, you're nothing, you got nothing, Hit me again. Okay, and every time they poke their nose up, now we got ding, ping it, put it on a map, mark it, hit it. Okay, so moves and counter moves, misinformation is necessary. In a war, fog of war, sometimes you make the fog. Okay, Scott Bessant talking about how, hey, we got this 10-day supply of this oil on the water. We're going to and they did. They unsanctioned the oil, and they unsanctioned the Russian oil. And the Europeans upset. They were upset. So oil supply, energy supply, LNG supply, particularly helium. We've talked about all that. It's a huge issue. Okay. But it's a huge issue also in advance of our talks and our meetings with China. And that meeting was supposed to take place in early April. That's been delayed, canceled. It was a request by the president to have this meeting with Xi. He has now canceled that meeting. It's been now rescheduled again at the president's request for early May. Why would we postpone it? Well, possibly because we don't have a position of leverage yet to go into negotiations. Donald Trump is very, very big on having a position of leverage. The last time he met with Xi and we went through this issue with 100% sanctions, 122% sanctions, 400% sanctions, back and forth, and China got whacked, and China hit back, and they said, no more chips for you, or no more rare earth for you. And then we said, okay, we'll stop. Let's come back to reality. That's the way. That's the way you negotiate with China. You have to come at them not from a position of weakness like a Joe Biden. They will never respect you. You have to come at them up from a position of strength. And sometimes in that position is a projection of strength you don't actually have, or that your strength is over here. This gets into Sun Tzu methodology and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, moving on. I'm done in 10 minutes. Okay. All right, moving on. Thank you, Space Shot. All right, so Saudi Arabia had some chances to bypass. This is the East-West pipeline, and the Saudis said, after you attacked us and we hit this facility, we're going to hit these facilities, and they hit these facilities. And one of the facilities that they said they were going to hit in Saudi Arabia, they didn't. Instead, they hit this facility way over here. We talked about this last week, I think. And that was a surprise to Saudi, because this was their backup plan. This East-West pipeline and this and the ability to move oil through the Suez Canal and through the Straits of Mandeb are very, very important. And we talked about how the Yemeni have now joined the conflict and said, we're now part, but they're holding back. And Iran is holding back as to when to attack this. It's not just about the Straits of Hormuz. It's also about this choke point. Okay. This Straits of Hormuz, and we'll just get into this. We'll just get into this now. Okay. Let me just open this. And the Moscow revenue from oil as prices jumped from 70 to over 100 and expected to surge even more, because in Europe and in the Middle East and Asia Pacific, the oil prices are closer to 150 in the futures. So they delayed their fiscal fund. They're planning the budgeting process because now there's this huge new revenue inflow. I think I understand it. They're now over $370 million a day. And I think that's expected. So basically, and it's getting closer and closer. And if we hit like the 200, 250 mark, then they're going to be over or very close to $1 billion a day, like just shy of $1 billion a day. And that's huge for Russia. That's huge for Russia. So very, very important. Okay, but I wanted to just back out so we can look at the region, because this is going to be important to understand. All right. Let's say this is the island of Keshem, okay? And this island of Keshem has some high rocky areas, very heavily defended, dug-in positions, tunnel positions, all kinds of stuff like that. But our Marines are good at doing this. We've been practicing this stuff a long, long time. And then once you get past the flat coastal areas here, you get into very interesting mountainous structures, including some very big, tall mountainous regions behind here, which have tunnel positions. You could, with drone technology and a distance of 20, 30 kilometers now, certainly with missiles or other types of man-launched or vehicle-launched weapons, you don't have to show your position. You can fire the stuff from the other side of the mountain range where you can't be seen and still hit a target somewhere here in this little area. or more importantly, in this little 4-mile chunk. Okay, this is a kill zone, and that's that. Now, if we send 1,100 Marines from a 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit to seize this area, you got towns in here with 150,000 people. Okay, and some of these other little villages are a lot smaller, much smaller. But in some of these towns, you got a lot of people. And where do you disembark your mobile armor equipment? Okay, because you can airlift some of it, but you can't airlift a lot of it very quickly. So you can get the Marines on the beach. They can hold a beachhead, etc. You might be able to paratroop in, but paradrops are not the way. It'd be helicopters, and the risk of helicopters to drone and or air defense systems that are man portable, et cetera, which they've begun showing this last couple of days, makes this a costly exercise. And then let's say you take the island of Keshem. What does that mean? Oh, we control the Straits of Hormuz. We can allow traffic through. No, it doesn't. Because you're discounting the ability for drones to come from this region. This is a salient that allows 270 degrees of attack onto this point. This is a kill box. Sending forces into this kill box is a suicide mission. Okay? And this is from multiple military people. And I'm sure, I can guarantee it, there are members of our military that are telling the president this. Okay? But he has to still play his cards, whatever cards he's got. Okay? He can't back down. Can't. The de-escalation path is not allowed by the way the structure of our government and the political forces are arrayed against him to allow him to back down and say, no, we're just going to make peace. Okay? So he's got to play the cards he's dealt and play them as effectively as he can. And so is some of this talk posturing? Maybe. I mean, this is what you got, a tool. It's used, and you should use it. Getting to Karg Island with even a launch, an airlift, it's useless. It's irrelevant. Oil is not produced here. This is only an offloading and terminaling facility. And once the infrastructure is destroyed in this island, it becomes useless, worthless. And they released pictures today of guys sitting on the island with FPV drones and all kinds. They're ready. They've been preparing. They've been moving forces under the island again. Doesn't matter whether you destroy, a visible air defense system or whatever. You're now talking about ground forces here that are ready to take out guys on a beachhead. 1,100 people, even on this little island, is not a lot. Even with air power trying to pound the enemy, because you've got places over here that are high defensible positions that have air defense and other things. And yeah, as soon as they poke their eye out, you're going to go attack them. But they're going to get a shot off. They're going to get shots off. And you can't even get here with your fleet until you get through here. And that's murder. And no Navy in the world wants to move their ships through here until you have this ground under control. So there's been talk that instead that we might make some sort of an amphibious assault or landing at Tron. It's over here somewhere. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But the forces are arriving. But now, and to end here, because we're not going to get through all this stuff, now the basic deal is that we have the forces arriving, but the negotiations have been extended. Breaking news, since the show began, Donald Trump has extended this to 10 days. So
Bullshit.
There will be... What?
Bullshit. He's fucking lying.
Bloomberg's
lying.
He's lying. Maybe. He might be. He's been tricky before. He might go out and launch attack. I don't got it. There's going to be a paywall here. But Trump extends energy attack pause, claims Iran talks are ongoing. Now, are there talks or are there messages? There are messages. The messages are interesting, to say the least, because the words are, I want this, I want that. I want this, I want this. No, we demand this. Who are they talking to? Trump's again trolling. They'll talk to whoever they got to talk to. Well, the entire Iranian leadership is under this mosaic structure, and you have the foreign minister Arachi, you have the new national security advisor, who is younger and described as a much hardliner, another very intelligent person. I forget his name. You have the new Ayatollah Khomeini that's supported by the IRGC. So the clerics picked him, even though they may not 100% support him. So there may be some clerical dissension. Okay. And then you hear, that's why we have all this gay talk about this guy. Okay. For Iranian survival, and this is, they have a clear strategy. Israel has a strategy that says we want to make the region and every power in this region weak. Because the weaker they are, the more like Syria they are, the more we are dominant. Because even though we're small and our force is small, we have 10 million people, although like 3 million have left. We have, and they've instituted a draft to raise 400,000 army. Okay, or calling back their reservists. You know, everybody, it's Israel's way. That they would love to see Iran broken apart because they're the only really superpower threat in the region. Okay, Iraq has been destabilized somewhat. The Saudis, we will call them moderately compromised. But now, if we land troops here, what's Iran going to do? And this is where I'm going to leave it. You will see desalination plants destroyed, which are absolutely critical to Riyadh. Desalination is gone. They get struck, couple deals. They're unsupported, undefended, non-hardened targets. 8 million people will need to leave Riyadh within 10 days. 10 days of drinking water. That's it. 8 million people. You will have a refugee crisis that Europe can't handle. And Israel and all these other states, same way. They do not have the ability, once those desalination plants are struck, to support water on that kind of a mass population scale. Not only that, but the energy infrastructure will be destroyed. So who the hell cares if the Straits of Hormuz are controlled by this entity or that entity? There ain't going to be any oil flowing for 10 years anyway. And the markets will react, and the Russians and the United States and some of the Asian, wherever oil is being produced or energy is being produced, the price will jack up because supply and demand just got whacked permanently or in the near permanent future. And this is playing its role in Ukraine. The Ukrainians hit the Russians through NATO countries. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're done.
Gotta go.
And they hit the oil.
What's that,
right.
Mr.? What's that?
We got it done. Space Shot's got to be done.
Oh, yeah, he's on his time deal. Again, I want to thank you, everybody, for coming out, watching the Table of Titans here on Thursday. We always appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Make sure you leave a comment in the video and smash the thumbs up button. Get over to Twitter if you can get a chance, and we'll continue the rest of this saga on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Hulk and Space Shot show is coming, so that'll be a whole bunch of entertainment, music, fun, and all that fun jazz. I want to thank all the hosts, Rdoc, Space Shot, and Tron, for everybody for putting in, even though Tron was a little quiet today. I appreciate you, brother itself. What is for dinner, sir?
What's up, guys? Tomorrow night we have Friday Funnies. Drop your links in the chat. Tomorrow night, Friday Funnies. Saturday we have Keeping It Wheel, the music show. And Sunday morning, we're going to complete the master plan, baby. War Games, Back to the Future, and we're going to throw in a little Roger Rabbit as DJT gives us a little tippy top crumbs the other day. Thank you guys again for a great show. Thank you, Hulk, Space Shot, and Doc. And thank you guys in the chat so much for 8+ years Power Hour, knocking it out, and adding shows as well over the many weeks as time is the essence. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for this afternoon, and thank you for tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you, Swickly and Dragonfly. Stick around on my side. Closing with a brand new Swickly. Thank you guys again, and as always, have faith, be encouraged. Dig, meme, and pray, and where we go one, we go all. Keep your head up high, Patriots. We got great things on the horizon. Much love.
Thank you, Tron. Rdoc, you got a final thought for the crowd?
My final thought is this. We got wars and rumors of wars and lots of stuff going on. And, what I want to encourage you is if you are led after praying, after spending some peaceful, prayerful time, if you are led to dig and pursue and to investigate further, then do so. But don't do it from a spirit of fearfulness. Do it from once you're in peace, and then go spend time and investigate and do this stuff. Don't let your peace be stolen in any of this information, and don't let the media or the mockingbirds and anyone else out there, including us, do anything to put you in that spirit of fear. Go pray, go dig, go meme, go do whatever you're led to do. That's my final thought.
Thank you, Mr. Space Shot, sir.
Yes, sir. We will see. Ooh, what do we got? Friday tomorrow? We will see what is the next shoe to drop.
Dude, I forgot today was Thursday this morning.
Dude, and a lot of people I talked to said they thought it was Wednesday. That's weird. Maybe we had one of the times.
Anybody else in that dude got off by a day or no? I'm just wondering.
It's actually Friday now. So
yeah, it is.
But yeah, it's craziness coming on out there, and we will see what the next piece of intel or the next piece to drop as far as pointing fingers and whatnot. Very interesting times, and like I said before, so many different things seem to be coming back into the fold, even while we have all this going on with Iran over there, South America. But then we have, we're talking about election, and we're also talking about Crossfire Hurricane coming back into the fold, and Jack Smith and things that he did, Adam Schiff. So it's very busy, right? And it's like, wait, what are they doing? They're doing all this different stuff at the same time. Very interesting times we're living in here, ladies and gentlemen. Hulk, let me just think, and I might have to end with a little Swickly myself there. A little Lies and Laws, Captain Bello / Swickly mix. Thank you, Cockpit Monkey, Liz G, and Crowdeck, the top 3 contributors over there on D-Live today. I'm releasing the treasure chest, which I'm telling you, D-Live is skimming, but it's coming back at you guys now in 28 and counting. And can never forget to thank the mods. I appreciate your help greatly, helping ourselves and many other folks out there as well. And always a big hat tip to Country and the folks over there at Liberty Based News. Back over to you, Mr. Hulkinator.
Yeah, exactly. And a big hat tip to the people out there with great names out there like Dildo and Cockpick Monkey, because those are just so unusual. Hat tip to you Anons with the great names are out there. We're going to get to some other great names out here. One Thunder gifted the can. Bot 7 gifted Shays. Thanks for the news since 2018. That is when I started listening to Space Shot. Table of Titans is great. One Thunder gifted the can. Sanjo with a can, a cookie, another cookie, and Brookie Cookie Dough, another great, unusual name. Gifted cookies, more cookies on top of your cookies. I love these streams with the Titans here, all cookies for your all. Sanjo with a cookie, another cookie. Kelly Cummings gifted the shades, and Tanette Booth dropped a cookie with a really weird YouTube link, and I will take a look at that later because I'm not sure what she's going to be sending me. And again, we're going to finish the rest of this stuff off on Saturday. I got some interesting funnies and stuff to show you guys all.
Ooh,
and like Space Shot always, huh?
Oh, you can cover Bureau, the new Starlink competitor, on Saturday. You like that tech stuff?
Who's the owner?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Russian Bureau, BYURO, is basically the initials. They launched new satellites that are basically laser communication. Directed from ground to satellite laser communication, low Earth orbit, competitor Starlink. So that's huge news I didn't get to this week.
All right, like Space Shot always says.
We do appreciate each and every one of you wonderful world patriots for tuning in out there. And until that next one, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to hang out for the extra video at the end. Peace.
Judges, lawyers, and politicians have got you by the balls. Regulations and dissertations that lead you to cell walls with their lies and their laws and their laws to control you. Discontent for the government is rampant in the streets. They'll tell you things that you want to believe in, a promise they won't keep. Ban the gun so that we can protect you. I hope you understand. Legislation to help us inspect you, your liberty for your land. With their lies and their laws and their laws to control you. I'll protect you. Walls to fence you. I'll protect you. Walls that fence you. And don't you believe them? If you believe them, history repeats itself over and over and over again. Amen. And now you're faced with decision. Your fate has finally come. If you trade your freedom for safety, you'll find you've lost them both. Who would have thought that your own convictions could put you in this boat? These judges, lawyers, and politicians have finally cut your throat with the lies.